Fox News.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
I'm the guy that never gives 5 stars because I never believe that anything is perfect. But I would give them 20 stars if I could.
Ernest Stellar Review belongs to QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative treatments. They came through when he badly needed relief for his aching knees, and doctors had told him that surgery was the only option.
What they're doing is cutting edge, and it really helps. And I'm a tough sell.
QC Kinetics is led by National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in this field. With 20 years of clinical work, tons of research, teaching, publishing in non-surgical natural pain treatments. These are the medical pros to trust.
I'm living my life basically pain-free from what I was dealing with, so I'm a happy camper today, no doubt about it.
QC Kinetics. Call today to see if you're a candidate.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUNFEST.
It's August 1st, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is known as Dogust 1st. It's the universal birthday for shelter dogs, set in 2008 by North Shore Animal League America. George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones debuts in 1966. Decades later, it was turned into a smash TV series by HBO. Anne Frank was just 15, hiding out in Nazi-occupied Holland with 7 others in a secret room. Writes her last entry into her diary. She died in 1945 from typhus at Germany's Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Born on this day in 1819, the author of Moby Dick, Herman Melville. And Francis Scott Key in 1779, he wrote the national anthem.
And the rocket's red glare.
Country singer Luke Bryan doing the honors at the 2017 Super Bowl on Fox. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Why do so many companies count on Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating? Consistent, high level of quality, and ISO certified and A2LA lab accredited heat treating, electroplating, fastener sorting, and packaging job shop. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating meets and exceeds client specifications. Whether a high volume or small production run, their processes ensure a job well done. Celebrating their 15th anniversary this year, they specialize in metal fasteners and stampings for automotive and other industries, and now have approval from Volvo for zinc nickel plating, along with sorting and packaging options. Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating serves customers in the Midwest and North Carolina, with easy access to all forms of transportation from their automated facility in Riverdale, Illinois, outside of Chicago. Need consistent quality? Call Riverdale Plating and Heat Treating, 708-849-2050, or visit RiverdalePHT.com. That's RiverdalePHT.com.
Life's unpredictable and full of unknowns, but your vehicle shouldn't be. No one wants to face an unexpected repair that could derail their plans and budget. That's why we're introducing CarShield, the ultimate way to future-proof your ride. We're not just about fixing problems, we're about preventing financial surprises. You can get a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan designed to save you from out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Imagine driving with complete peace of mind, knowing that if something goes wrong, you'll pay almost nothing for covered repairs. Included in every plan is free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. This protection plan is at an all-time low, making it accessible to any driver. Don't wait for a breakdown to realize you need coverage. Invest in the future of your vehicle and your wallet today. Call CarShield now for your free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. Future-proof your ride. Call CarShield now. 800-330-8323. 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
This is a special alert during this window replacement season. Don't get tricked by the cheapest offers and gimmicky ads. Now's the time to see and feel the difference of high-performance windows from Valdecas.
When it's time to consider new windows, siding, and doors for your home, you need to look no further. Sebastian Gorka here to tell you about Valdecas. Valdecas has been the trusted name chosen by thousands of homeowners, and they should be your number one choice too. But what's really behind the name Valdecas? Over 25 years of a team dedicated to providing you with the best customer service experience and products that truly bring value to your home. They are a Pella Platinum Elite Status certified contractor for a reason. They have an A+ rating with the BBB, as well as high ratings and positive reviews on both Google and Houzz. Schedule your free in-house consultation at valdecas.com.
Ask about their exclusive manufacturer warranties and their 10-year workmanship guarantee.
Don't wait. Book today at valdecas.com. For the best in class, it's Valdecas.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet.
I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. The president's mad at Fed Chair Jerome Powell for not cutting interest rates fast enough. But here's a better idea. Don't fire the chairman, fire the Fed. Why should a handful of unelected economists decide the price of money for 330 million people? That's not a free market. That's central planning with a necktie. Let the market set interest rates. Let lenders and borrowers negotiate like grown-ups. The Fed's track record? Boom, bust, repeat. It's time to break the cycle. If you trust the market to price gas, groceries, and gold, why not credit? It's time to ask this question seriously. Why are we still outsourcing our economy to a committee? It's time to bring interest rates back to the people. The issue isn't that Jerome Powell is in charge of the Fed. The issue is that the Fed is in charge of our interest rates. I'm Jerry Boyer.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terra 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terra 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
Is cremation an option you're considering for you or your loved one? At Catholic Cemeteries, we offer sacred, permanent places of rest where loved ones can be remembered, prayed for, and visited for generations. Too often, cremated remains are brought home, only to end up in closets, basements, or forgotten on shelves. Memorialization is forever. Honor their life. Preserve your legacy. Visit us today at CatholicCemeteryChicago.org to schedule a free consultation or call 708-236-5490.
Jenny McGuire is the fresh, bold, unapologetic voice of common sense, constitutional values, and conservative principles. With her sharp wit, she'll tackle the issues that matter most: faith, family, and freedom. Join her and featured guests each week on the Unsafe Space radio show, heard Saturday evening at 7 right here on AM 560 The Answer. And follow Jenny on Facebook at The Unsafe Space with Jenny McGuire.
I'm the guy that never gives 5 stars because I never believe that anything is perfect. But I would give them 20 stars if I could.
Ernest Stella Review belongs to QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative treatments. They came through when he badly needed relief for his aching knees, and doctors had told him that surgery was the only option.
What they're doing is cutting edge, and it really helps. And I'm a tough sell.
QC Kinetics is led by National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in this field. With 20 years of clinical work, tons of research, teaching, publishing in non-surgical natural pain treatments. These are the medical pros to trust.
I'm living my life basically pain-free from what I was dealing with, so I'm a happy camper today, no doubt about it.
QC Kinetics. Call today to see if you're a candidate.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a breezy morning, then hazy sunshine with very unhealthy air quality and a high of 76. Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Tomorrow brings hazy sunshine with reduced air quality due to wildfire smoke and a high of 79. Sunday will be mostly sunny and nice with a high of 82. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yesterday, I hope everyone managed to muddle through. Chicago reportedly had the worst air quality of any place on the planet yesterday. Frickin' Canadians.
It seems that everything's gone wrong since Canada came along. Brave Canada, brave Canada.
They're not even a real country anyway.
Yeah, you heard at the top of Canadian wildfires. I guess largely the blame didn't stop me from playing golf, but I digress. The thing that had me huffing and puffing yesterday was the reemergence of Kamala Harris Remember her? She was a presidential candidate. Well, she recently announced, as you've undoubtedly heard, that she is not going to run for governor of California. As the Babylon Bee headline blared, Kamala chooses not to run for California governor and instead spend more time with vodka. And that seems to be actually what she's doing. Again, very difficult to parody reality these days. This was a TikTok video she posted talking to a bookshelf.
Everyone thinks you've been kicking back, drinking margaritas on the beach. But really, you've been hard at work writing a book, meeting with leaders, thinking about the future of our country. Who said that?
Okay. Unburdened by what has been, she has indeed written a memoir. That I guess that was one of her ways to start marketing the forthcoming tome entitled 107 Days, the shortest presidential campaign in American history, and the most mind-numbing, too, although that's not what she says. Anyway, this is a part of the rollout of her forthcoming memoir. Since she's got a book out, maybe she'll come on the show, pitch her wares. Wouldn't that be fun? Kamala on her new memoir, 107 Days. Please do take a listen.
Just over a year ago, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. 107 days, traveling the country, fighting for our future. The shortest presidential campaign in modern history. It was intense, high stakes, and deeply personal for me and for so many of you. Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book, 107 Days. With candor and reflection, I've written a behind-the-scenes account of that journey. I believe there's value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I know it will take to move forward. In writing this book, one truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes the fight takes a while, but I remain full of hope, and I remain clear-eyed. I will never stop fighting to make our country reflect the very best of its ideals, always on behalf of the people. So thank you for being in this fight with me. I am forever grateful, and I cannot wait for you to read this, and I'll see you out there. Take care.
Bye-bye. And if I pay a premium, can I have you read it to me? I could just listen to her with that soaring rhetoric all day long. Isn't that fun? The additional feature there is she's got about 50 fun-filled pages of Venn diagrams also featured in the new memoir, 107 Days. We do need to reach out to her throngs of publicists, I have no doubt, and see if we can get her on the show. I mean, 107 Days. I'll be her huckleberry. It's interesting. She talks about this keep fighting thing. Keep fighting. Rui Teixeira, writing at the Liberal Patriot. I reference this blog quite often because these are basically center-left individuals who want the Democrat Party to succeed, and they're frustrated with the fact that it has careened off the highway into the wilderness, never to be seen again, potentially. So I read this just because, there are those on the center left that see the same things that we do. They just have different anecdotes than we do, just from a policy perspective, not necessarily in terms of identifying the political and policy problems with the current iteration of the new Marxist Party. And I mention it because I hope that they don't take Rui Teixeira's advice and the advice of other contributors to this site. He writes, nothing feels better than unloading with both barrels on Donald Trump, and few things are less effective or more boring. Is there anyone in this country who doesn't know Democrats disapprove of everything Trump does, believe he's a danger to democracy, and just really, really hate the guy? I don't think so. And yet, Democrats keep rending their garments and screaming their hatred to the heavens. it just doesn't work. Just updating, snapshot in time here. Despite their negative views of Trump's performance on key issues, voters still prefer Republicans to Democrats on these issues by these margins. Illegal immigration, Republicans plus 24. Immigration, generally, Republicans plus 17. The economy, Republicans plus 12. Inflation and rising prices, Republicans plus 10. Foreign policy, Republicans plus 8. Tariffs, Republicans plus 7. The Russia-Ukraine war, Republicans plus 5. There shouldn't be much of a mystery. Voters are taking Joe Biden's famous advice and applying it to Joe Biden's party. Don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. And that's exactly what voters are doing. That's what they did with Kamala Harris, and that's what they continue to do, which is why I was happy to see Joe Biden in town yesterday to hang out with his trial lawyer buddies. I'm happy to hear about Kamala Harris's forthcoming memoir. I don't want them to leave the stage anytime soon. They're some of the best things that Republicans have going.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
AM 560. The Answer.
Text from 815. A book is a lot of pages bound together. Yes, those and other deep thoughts are featured in Kamala Harris's forthcoming memoir, 107 Days. Although, you get the sense that I do, you'd rather hear the audio, you'd rather hear her read the book, because when I offer an interpretation of a powerful statement like that, like the one I just read from 815, thank you, it just doesn't have the fierce urgency of now that Kamala brings to the table when she talks. Coming up at 5:38, Caroline Leavitt announces new plans for a White House ballroom. It's an interesting choice in the alleged age of Doge. 5:38, now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The Trump administration is finalizing reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries. On Thursday, President Trump signed an executive order increasing tariffs on products from around 70 countries while touting deals made just before his deadline.
We have made a few deals today that are excellent deals for the country. You know, we're taking in literally trillions of dollars for the country.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer blasts President Trump's decision to place 15% tariffs on South Korea.
And then he pretends like that's some kind of victory. 15% is far from a victory because it is American families who are ones who are going to have to pay for it in the end.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says no specific deal has been made yet with China.
China is their own thing. We have our own team working with China. They're their own thing.
Originally set to go into effect today, the new rates will now kick in next week. Trade deals so far have been agreed to by the European Union, the UK, Japan, and South Korea, among others. Trump has also announced tariffs on Canada will be increased from 25 to 35%. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Need new blinds? At Blindster.com, they offer guaranteed low prices, guaranteed satisfaction, free samples, and free shipping. At Blindster, they take the fear out of ordering custom blind shades and shutters so you can do it yourself and save big. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next.
Hugh Hewitt is over the Epstein files.
There's a lot left to be released about Epstein. None of it has anything to do with Donald Trump, and there is no list. We would have had that leaked long ago if it was there because it was the Biden DOJ. There is nothing left to know of interest to me about Epstein. Nothing. Zero.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank that cares about your business and is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Classic Cinemas and proud customer of Signature Bank. We are a local family-owned business that is known for free refills on all sizes of popcorn, soft drinks, and ices. With over 9,000 heated recliners in 16 locations, we marry the traditions of the past with today's state-of-the-art technology. Throw in a 30-minute guarantee and an after-movie mint, and you have the perfect night out. As we strive to make every guest our priority, Signature Bank does the same with their customers. The team at Signature Bank is interested in taking my company forward. They have all the resources and solutions of the big banks, but they customize their offerings to meet my business needs. The customer always comes first with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Give your liver the support it needs with Active Liver. Go to NordicUSA.com, Amazon, or ask for Active Liver at your local CVS. New you, new Nordic.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a breezy morning, then hazy sunshine with very unhealthy air quality and a high of 76. Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Tomorrow brings hazy sunshine with reduced air quality due to wildfire smoke and a high of 79. Sunday will be mostly sunny and nice with a high of 82. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We'll get to the proposed new White House ballroom, but I want to talk dollars and cents at the local level. BLM Brandon is banding about some 24 ideas. He's got 26 ideas. Kamala Harris has a numbers day for numerologists out there. Numerologist delight. 107 days is Kamala's memoir. 26 ideas is BLM Brandon's path to a quote-unquote balanced budget. That the reported number of that budget shortfall, by the way, continues to creep up every time it's reported. It's very interesting. 26 ideas, along with high-end, low-end revenue estimates. 18 of the ideas originated with members of the city council. Boy, this is a real whole-of-government approach. I love it. I love the collaboration. so many good people with so many good ideas in city government. 7 came from civic organizations, and 1 simply states external stakeholder in terms of the repository of all these ideas. Interestingly, all these people, top men working on it, and I didn't see anything in the rundown about any cost cutting. So the ideas, increase in property taxes, even though that has been suggested to be a non-starter. Oftentimes non-starters turn into starters. Increase in the $9 a month garbage collection fee. Taxing services, extending the state sales tax to services. But that would require Governor Jelly Belly and those idea incubators in Springfield to act. Other big ticket items, congestion surcharge, sin taxes, of course, raising taxes on liquor, raising taxes on meals at restaurants. Great for the industry. Where are those Illinois Restaurant Association toadies to decry that proposal, even that it's being trial ballooned, even that's on the spitball list. Bottled water, tax increase. Checkout bags, tax increase. Extending the amusements tax to resellers. Imposing a city tax on sports betting. There you go. No, effectively another sin tax. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Chicago residents scheduled to continue dying the death of 1,000 cuts. Some are deeper than others, though. By the way, the corporate head tax, which he resuscitated the other day, saying...
This is the perfect time for us now to look at progressive means.
Yeah, well, that would be a progressive mean. Wirepoints.org, our friends over at Wirepoints. Again, just a reminder, factor this in or dismiss it because it's not one of the beautiful lies that people have been conditioned to consume. Chicago Metro, worst economic growth among the nation's 15 biggest metro areas, pre-COVID to post-COVID, 2019 to 2023. Worst economic growth, worse than LA, Philadelphia, Detroit, New York, Washington, Atlanta, Boston, Houston, San Francisco, Dallas, Seattle, Miami, Phoenix. And by multiples. For example, Phoenix saw its essentially GDP growth grow by nearly 20% during that time period, 4 years. Chicago, 4%. 5X in Phoenix. The closest is LA at only 4.7%. And, this is previously the $4 per employee corporate head tax that was abolished under Tiny Dancer back a decade ago. It just doesn't generate that much money in the context of how much City Hall spends of other people's money. But it does have a real chilling effect in corporate circles when businesses are thinking about locating or expanding. But it's the perfect time for progressive ideas, progressive solutions to the progressive catastrophes. Yeah, makes perfect sense. Something else, though, I just have to take notice of this because it happens so infrequently. And I know this is eyes glaze over and ears shut down kind of stuff, but an op-ed in Crane Chicago Business, the anti-business rag, about Chicago's pension crisis. Remember that? Chris, on the Dan Ryan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. My two real quick questions are, what is the end game from all these high taxes that's going to happen? We know what the result is. We're all going to leave the state. I work for a large commuter railroad here in Chicago, and we're under the gun here for the fiscal pitfall, or we want to call it, and no one can seem to get their act together down in Springfield. And it's not a good feeling to realize that at some point or another, if they don't get their act together and we lose all this money, that people are going to, at the end, going to lose, the services that we have grown to love so much here in Chicago. So it's like, what is the end game here? Are we just going to dry up the state so there's no one here?
Thanks for the call, Chris. That's a perfect segue to the discussion about pensions, which I wanted to fold in, but I'll hold on that for just a moment to include Matt from Mount Greenwood.
Good morning, Dan. I don't want to talk about the last caller's comments regarding the rail system in this city and state, but nonetheless, I'm in the construction industry, and ours is a lagging indicator business. Everything that we build has been financed a year, 2-3 years ago, sometimes even longer, depending on the mega projects. But I can tell you this. There is virtually no work in the city of Chicago when it comes to office build-outs, restaurant development. More often than not, contractors are moving out or expanding to other states or areas in Illinois, but far more are going out of Illinois because they have to survive. And even I work for a very large company, and we've got people looking to travel just because they want to save their jobs. It's terrible. And this city, this guy is a complete moron, as we all know. But it's a very scary proposition.
The Obama Library, Obamaland, is not enough doesn't generate enough to go around. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the only book in that thing is going to be books about what's the name of his book?
Dreams from My Father. Yeah, right.
Dreams of My Father, whoever that guy was. Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Ayers, I think. I'll bet you 107 Days, Kamala Harris's new memoir. There'll be copies of that there too.
You know what? There very might well be there for sure.
Thanks for the call, Matt. Appreciate it. Roy and Glen Ellen.
Morning, Dan. Yeah, I had one of those situations where I had to go down to the financial district, an hour and 10 to get there, an hour and 10 to park, $61, and then an hour 40 to get home.
Yeah, it's the city that works. That's what you're describing. Why were you down at the financial district? Were you scoping out some new government housing? Or?
Well played.
Thanks for the call, Roy. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Stan, was there anything in that proposal about casinos or cannabis?
Not that I saw on the list. Thanks for the call, George. But I know that's a go-to. There was a sports gambling tax. But yeah, you're right. We could use a few more video poker dens, or maybe raise the city's take from the till there. Maybe a few more casinos, a few more abortion clinics, a few more vape shops and dispensaries. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting for the grocery store, still waiting for the Gimme Dat brothels. I mean, the whole Gimme Dat enterprise really has not been fully formed yet. So maybe that's an underwriting problem. Still doing a cap raise there. I mean, although he does have $1 billion to work with respect to Gimme Dat housing for those projects he wants to set up in the financial district. Just going back to pensions too, because this idea, all these tick tax increases to try to patch up the spending levels they've committed themselves to for just the next fiscal year. I mean, it just walks past all the structural damages. And by the way, yeah, the congestion tax too. I mean, just from Roy from Glen Ellen's description of his experience going from Glen Ellen to the city. Yeah, no, well, that's a way to hit suburbanites too. I mean, that's the genius of Mayor Daley is it's not Chicago, it's Chicago land. Everybody has to pitch in. Everybody has to pay. We need to make sure that as much as we can, we socialize the burdens of the decisions we make in Chicago to the entire region and often the entire state. And so that's what congestion tax. Of course, that's, wants to hit all those wealthy suburban honkies. Sure. Yeah. And, it's millionaires and billionaires need to pay their fair share. We heard that this week. They're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. especially if you're trying to get from Glen Ellen to downtown. It's going to feel like you're not going anywhere.
The city of Chicago has a massive $1.1 billion budget gap to fill ahead of next year. And with the mayor promising not to once again pitch a property tax hikes for city residents, which council, by the way, unanimously rejected this year, what's the game plan for next year? He says he's looking at creative ways to raise tax dollars. And today at City Hall, we learned exactly what's on the table.
Everything has to be on the table. Everything has to be on the table.
The menu on that table appears to target Chicago's ultra-rich, namely finding ways to extract more tax dollars from the 127,000 millionaires that now call Chicago home, as well as the 25 billionaires residing inside these borders. As for the concerns that these ultra-rich will leave if they get taxed more,
they're not leaving Chicago. So this notion somehow that we're scaring millionaires away, it's just the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Of course it is. And when they do leave, he'll just say, nobody left, like Pritzker does. And the electorate seems inclined, generally speaking, to say, yeah, okay. I mean, he said nobody would leave. Now he's saying nobody left. I mean, that must be true. I'm not going to pick my head up and look around because we have this sort of civilizational suicide pact, don't we? If I don't hold you accountable, you promise not to hold me accountable. Okay, let's do it. Joe in Hoffman Estates.
Hey, Dan, good morning. From what I understand, the state constitution says that we're not allowed to go bankrupt, the state of Illinois.
Who's we?
Well, the state of Illinois is not allowed to go bankrupt.
It's not the Constitution. It's federal bankruptcy law doesn't have a provision for a state to go bankrupt. But city of Chicago could, but that would require Illinois General Assembly approval.
Okay, so they're not going to approve that.
Correct.
They want their Ponzi scheme to keep going, but once it can't keep going, where do you go from there? I don't understand how this ends.
Well, thanks for the call, Joe. That's the segue to get back to this piece in Crain's that I wanted to get to. Dana Levinson, a retired businessman who served as Chicago's chief financial officer from 2004 to 2007. I don't know if that's something I'd run around bragging about, but nonetheless, he's talking about Chicago's pension crisis, arguing that it's heading for a Detroit-style collapse, something that I've been saying since I've been on the air. Well, actually, since I ran for governor, since really even before I was on the air. Actually, even before that, when I was running campaigns for 20 years, basically. And as I've said almost every time I've tackled this topic, I know. People have been saying it for a long time, myself included. It hasn't happened, so it's not going to happen. It's not real, and we'll figure a way, because we always do. Chicago's 4 direct pension funds, fire, laborers, muni employees, and police, 25% funded. I don't think you need to be an actuary to understand 25% funded is not a robust number. To put this in perspective, writes Dana Levinson, a little bit of a pension 101 here, publicly held companies are required to maintain pension funding levels of at least 100%. You know, you have to budget for the obligations you're incurring and be in a position to keep the promises that you make to your employees. It's crazy. This actually happens in other sectors. Shocking, I know. It's widely accepted that state and local governments should aim for at least 80%. Ballpark. IBM, for example, has 123% of its pension liabilities funded. The state of Virginia is at 81%. Oh, other states do it. Huh. Yeah. We're doing very well. This is just one of those things that afflicts everyone. No. It's something else that the Pauls here always say. No, actually, it's not. Actually, it's very different in other states, in other big cities, in other suburban regions, municipalities. Very, very different. Dana Levinson argues, now, more than any point in the past 25 years, the situation is critical. There's a very small margin between 25% funded and 0% funded. And with legislation awaiting Governor Pritzker's signature that would enhance benefits for police and fire pensions, Projections show funding levels could drop to just 18% in the coming years. But he's a hero. He's the firefighter and the police officer's best friend, as are all the people who voted for this additional sweetener, right? Because he made a promise he'll be long gone, more likely than not, before he has to deliver on. For context, in the late 90s to early 2000s, Chicago pension funds were close to fully funded. In 2005, the combined funded ratio was closer to 70%. Now it's 25%. To provide some additional context, Dana Levinson, it's actually a good piece. It's shocking that Crain's ran it. They're not usually interested in disclosing that our emperors have no clothes. Chicago's 4 pension funds currently have $9.3 billion in assets. However, they need $36.5 billion to meet all present and future obligations. That's what we call debt, unfunded obligations. But I know they're working on it. It's not as bad as you think, and there's a lot of blame to go around. I got it. By the way, the performance of these funds, too, in terms of the management, the S&P 500 has delivered an average annual rate of return of 14% over the past decade. In 2024, 25%. Just bought the S&P. Chicago Firemen's Fund returned 7% last year. And here's the answer to the question, how does this end? Again, I'm quoting Mr. Levinson. If the pension funds are depleted, the only money available to pay retirees will come from current contributions by the city and active employees. Without investment returns, because there are no investments left to invest, the available funds will be significantly less, thereby reducing what retirees receive. Right. Please see Detroit. Pensioners take a haircut. And bondholders, too, potentially. Should the courts rule that the city of Chicago remains liable for the full benefits owed despite depleted pension assets, the city would effectively be bankrupt. How close is Chicago to that tipping point? His estimate, 10 to 12 years. Sooner if there's a market downturn or an acceleration in asset sales to cover benefit payments, something that at least one of the city's pension funds is already doing. Given the structural weaknesses of Chicago's funds, the funded ratio tends to decline annually, regardless of market performance. And if the courts rule the city must make up the full difference, prepare for a dramatic increase in property taxes. You got to Willie Sutton it. You got to go where the money is and start liquidating people's property at a much faster rate. I mean, that's the future you're looking at in Chicago if there are not significant course corrections with respect to the people that voters choose to lead the city and the state, and the policies chosen by those leaders do about a 180 from the current policy choices being made at the city and state level.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Mike Gallagher reminding you that 80 million listeners depend on AM radio to always be on, delivering news, talk, sports, traffic, and weather reports you can trust. AM radio also delivers vital emergency information when you need it most. Text AM to 39179 and tell Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act to keep AM radio in cars. Text AM to 39179. Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
A listener has inspired a request, which is alternative titles to Kamala Harris's memoir. 107 Days is the working title, as far as we understand it from her. One alternative title, Word Salad, My American Journey, Filleting Politicians, and Basic English. It's pretty good. We'll take some suggestions in the 6 o'clock hour and also talk about the new Doc Dump at 6:06. It is now 6 a.m., AM 560, WIND Chicago.
Canada gets singled out. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. It's very simple.
And to President Trump, that fair rate is now a 35% tariff on Canadian imports not covered by a trade agreement. That's up from 25%, and it goes into effect today.
They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers. Some over 200%.
The president also says Canada's failed to curb the flow of fentanyl and other drugs across the border. But Prime Minister Mark Carney in a statement says Canada accounts for only 1% of fentanyl imports, and they will focus on building Canada strong. Now, tariffs on imports for dozens of other countries have been pushed back instead of today. Fox's Madeline Rivera reports they'll take effect next Thursday.
Countries with a surplus of U.S. goods see a 10% tariff. Those with a small deficit see a 15% rate. And then there's that third bucket of larger deficit countries, the officials saying their rates will be determined by a deal or a letter. Some of the countries hit hardest include Syria, Laos, Burma, and Switzerland, which exports pharmaceuticals, luxury watches, and precious metals.
That Swiss tariff will be 39%. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee are in Gaza, visiting an aid distribution site after deadly attacks on Palestinians trying to get food and growing concerns about starvation. And then Witkoff will go to Russia next. It faces a U.S. deadline next Friday to stop the war in Ukraine or face new economic sanctions. Overnight, Russian strikes in Ukraine killed at least 31 people, injuring 150. President Trump has blamed former President Biden for that war and for inflation and leaving a mess. He responded last night.
We need to face the hard truth of this administration. It has been to ease all the gains we've made.
Speaking to the National Bar Association in Chicago, he warned President Trump will dismantle the Constitution. In Arkansas, James McGann goes to court the day after police say he confessed to murdering a married couple in front of their daughters on a hiking trail in Arkansas Saturday. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former President Joe Biden is taking aim at President Trump. Speaking at the National Bar Association's annual gala in Chicago, Biden said Trump is dismantling the Constitution.
You know, and they're doing it all too often with the help of a Congress that's just sitting on the sidelines and enabled by the highest court in the nation.
The former president also talked about the abduction of immigrants from their families and communities and highlighted the attacks on civil rights and voter access. This is Biden's first visit to Chicago since publicly disclosing that he's battling prostate cancer. Illinois is the first state in the nation to require mental health screenings for students. Governor Pritzker signed a bill that offers free mental health screening tools to Illinois public schools.
Our goal is an integrated, comprehensive approach to quality mental and behavioral health services for young people across the state.
Under current state law, screening every student each year isn't required, making it difficult for districts to identify and address mental health issues that cause barriers to learning. Some people find this very intrusive and just an absolute overreach. Now, the measure requires all school districts to offer mental health screenings to students enrolled in grades 3 through 12 and at least once a year beginning with the 2027-2028 school year. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUNFEST.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Hey, it's Sean Thompson here for Level 10 Coating. You've been hearing the ads on AM 560 for months. Listeners love the product. Shiny new garage floors. And here's the thing. If you grow up in Chicago, you know a garage isn't just for parking cars. It's a sanctuary for yourself. Sometimes you could throw a kid's party there. Sometimes you can watch a game with your friends. But it doesn't have to be a cracked, dry, ugly cement floor with all dust on it. It can be a product you love. That's what Level 10 Coating delivers. Level 10 Coatings makes it someplace you'll want to be all the time. Level 10 Coatings, you can call now for a free quote at 855-510-2628. The number again, 855-510-2628. It's not just garage floors either. It's anywhere you want to make the cement feel more than cement at level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. Slower on the outbound side due to a crash, a semi versus a car. 2 left lanes are blocked. This is between Elston Avenue and Foster Avenue. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn interchange, 8 minutes. Outbound is about 10 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 12 minutes. Outbound is 13 minutes. Traffic is a service of Team Hochberg. They've helped thousands of AM 560 listeners with the best rates and service. Let Team Hochberg help you by visiting 56david.com or call 855-563-2843. That's 56david.com, lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect a breezy morning, then hazy sunshine with very unhealthy air quality and a high of 76. Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Tomorrow brings hazy sunshine with reduced air quality due to wildfire smoke and a high of 79. Sunday will be mostly sunny and nice with a high of 82. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, as promised by John Ratcliffe last weekend, CIA director, and reported by Fox News earlier this week, as we discussed, the declassification and release of the annex to the John Durham report. Helpful. Yeah, there's some important passages in this 29-page report. If you want to take out your reports and read along with me at home, I'm on page 4. During confidential contacts on March 5th with Leonard Bernardo, Soros Fund Eurasian Regional Director, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I guess they use chairperson, of the National Committee of the Democrat Party, characterized developments in the pre-election campaign of Hillary Clinton in the following way. Leonard Bernardo, Soros, Flack, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's the one that looks like Todd Christensen, at least with the haircut. In relation to the consensus reached among the Democratic Party leadership regarding the candidacy of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama sanctioned the use of all administrative levers to remove possibly negative effects from the FBI investigation of cases related to the Clinton Foundation and the email correspondence in the State Department. Based upon information from Wasserman Schultz, the FBI does not possess any kind of direct evidence against Clinton because of their timely deletion from the email servers. Yeah. Oh. No evidence because they destroyed it. Gosh, I'm old enough to remember when that was a crime. The political director of the Hillary Clinton staff, Amanda Renteria, regularly receives information from Attorney General Loretta Lynch on the plans and intentions of the FBI. Oh, wait a second. Was Loretta Lynch the people's attorney general or Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's personal attorney? Isn't that a favorite lament, talking point of the left when it comes to Bondi or Barr or Sessions? You're a personal attorney. You're supposed to be the people's attorney. The political director, let me just say that again, of Hillary Clinton's staff, Amanda Renteria, regularly receives information from Attorney General Loretta Lynch on the plans and intentions of the FBI. It's helpful to know what they know and what they're planning on doing with it, and if it's something that would be damaging to the principal, that would be Secretary of State Kankles, then you can intercede in some way. Anyway, again, reading from the annex. Active work is being done questioning potential witnesses who are mostly computer specialists in the Clinton private circle. They represent the only tools which may be used in this matter. Therefore, the threat is minimal. DNC predicts a certain Clinton victory in the current presidential campaign. The impressive results of Donald Trump are dividing the Republican Party elite, which find itself in near panic condition. A two-prong Democrat Party opposition is focused on discrediting Trump through debates and propaganda activities based upon his weak points. I like the fact that they refer to it as propaganda activities. A rare fit of candor. Discrediting Trump through debates and propaganda activities based upon his weak points, such as his uncontrollable temperament, questionable instances in business dealings, absence of diplomatic skills, lack of political experience. Among other things, the Clinton staff, with support from special services, is preparing scandalous revelations of business relations between Trump and the Russian mafia. Currently, they're studying his connections with, she goes through a few Russians. Not material. We don't have to get sidetracked with that. And then it continues to page 5. With regard to the discussion in the last paragraph of this memorandum, the scandalous revelations that the Clinton staff was preparing with support from special services, the words that FBI linguists translated as special services are Russian words that one analyst believed at the time referred to the FBI and CIA, or more broadly to the intelligence and law enforcement communities. Another analyst, caveating it that it was speculation, said that perhaps the phrase special services in this context could refer to Trump dossier author Christopher Steele, who, according to media reports and Steele's own testimony in UK legal proceedings, formerly worked as an intel professional for the British government. In addition, the office has determined that at the time of this memorandum, Glenn Simpson's firm, Fusion GPS, was in fact preparing open source opposition research regarding Trump's purported ties to Russian oligarchs. On March 31 of 2016, FBI personnel, including Deputy Director McCabe, Deputy General Counsel Anderson, Assistant Director for the Cyber Division, James Traynor, and the Director's Chief of Staff, James Ray Bickey, shared the intelligence information with Associate Deputy Attorney General David Margolis, in the highest-ranking career official in the department, and other senior career officials at DOJ. The FBI briefed Margolis on the specifics of the sensitive intelligence and informed him that the FBI assessed the information to likely not be credible. March 31st, 2016. FBI, the information on Trump and Russia, not credible. The FBI's assessment, according to McCabe and later memorialized by Anderson, the general counsel, in an August 12, 2016 memo, was based on 4 factors. The reports reflected multiple levels of hearsay. Someone involved in communications or in the passing of the communications to someone at a think tank may have engaged in exaggeration. The individual who drafted the reports may have engaged in editorialization or in exaggeration. The reports may be unreliable because of translation errors. And then there's this sent from Leonard Bernardo. That's the Soros dude. Hi, HRC approved Julia's idea about Trump-Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. The point is making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something like critical infrastructure threat for the election to feel menace, since both POTUS and VPOTUS have acknowledged the fact IC would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unreliable. However, there seem to be signs of GRU penetration, Russian intel. They appear hardly skilled, incompetent, bumbling idiots, quote unquote, as somebody called them. In the absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media, and GRU will hopefully carry on to give more facts. So, what you essentially have here is a coordination between the Obama White House, the administration, and the Hillary Clinton campaign to dummy up this story that they knew was being dummied up. As Matt Taibbi observes over at his outlet, Substack, Racket News, the Durham annex, it's not the final word on this mess, but it established definitively that the public version of the Trump-Russia story, which officially began in July of 2016, and remember the date I was reading from in terms of these exchanges, March 5th. The Trump-Russia story, which officially began in July of 2016, was a thin tissue of fiction concealing a larger and more sordid tale dating at least to January of 2016. One of the sample involves that memorandum that Russian analysts wrote in March of 2016 saying exactly what you heard me read. The opposition is focused on discrediting Trump. Among other things, the Clinton staff, with the support from special services, is preparing scandalous revelations of business relations between Trump and the Russian mafia. As Lee Smith wrote a couple of weeks ago in Tablet, that we talked about in the program. That's the one piece of intel the U.S. obtained on Russia that checks out, that the Russians knew that Hillary Clinton and the party were cooking up this fictional story about Trump to ensure that their prediction of a certain Hillary victory in 2016 came to pass. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I won't rehash all that we have found out about Brennan's personal correspondence, John Brennan, former CIA director, his personal correspondence. And now that we know some of this, we had already known substantially, but this is definitely more detail, and it helps to methodically build out the case. I would say the case for a conspiracy to defraud, which still doesn't rope in Obama, except and unless, as I've said all week, and going back to last week, I suppose, you can find acts in furtherance of the conspiracy that he committed while out of office. But I digress. What you continue to get, and it's very interesting to see John Brennan on heavy rotation on MSNBC. He's taking one approach while Jim Comey is taking another. Clapper, they seem to be laying a bit lower. But this is a propaganda war. It's always a propaganda war for them. And John Brennan wants you to believe, despite all the evidence to the contrary, his own communications bumped up against his own testimony under oath. The real story here is a nonpartisan guy, a plucky guy who managed to make it all the way to CIA director, nonpartisan guy, loathes politics, was simply trying to prevent, was trying to prevent intel agencies from being politicized because he's just trying to make the world a more peaceful place.
Important if we want to preserve what we believe to be our democracy.
And it's particularly important for people who I think are nonpartisan or apolitical like me. I'm not a registered Democrat or Republican. I eschew politics, quite frankly. I served 6 presidents, 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans. I didn't agree with all the policies of any of them, but yet I respected them. I thought that what they were doing was what they thought was in the best interest of the United States. But our institutions, the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, Defense Intelligence Agency, all of these really are so critically important to our national security, but also global peace and security. And when we see these institutions being torn down and being used as political footballs, this is really detrimental to, I think, our interests as a country. And that's why I think it's important for people to speak out, not to do it for political reasons, but to call people out when they're saying things that are wrong, when they're misrepresenting, mischaracterizing the facts, because the American people are going to all the different news organizations and they're being misinformed. And so, quite frankly, I don't blame a lot of people who have the misimpressions because they're being fed these false narratives.
Yeah. Something else, though, that he said in one of his star turns on MSNBC yesterday about the second intelligence community assessment, intelligence community assessment, the one that Obama called for.
Nobody has talked to me at all. I have testified repeatedly over the years consistently about what we did to expose Russian interference in the 2016 election and the creation and development of that intelligence community assessment that was done by the analysts who know Russia, who know cyber, who know counterintelligence matters. I didn't draft that estimate. Jim Clapper didn't draft that estimate. So again, I'm willing to talk to anybody. And if they want to talk to me, either Congress or Department of Justice, whatever, I'm ready to do so.
I didn't draft that estimate. The analyst did. I left it to the pros. We know from documents that have been released. I mean, this is the Gabbard caches of documents. We know that he went over the top of these analysts, that he wasn't tolerating any skepticism about Russian collusion, essentially. That he was shopping this fiction for months prior to Obama, after the 2016 election, calling for the second look at that assessment. And now he's trying to offload and say, look, I left it to the professionals who really know Russia. And then he's going to do that. I was just following orders. That's what they'll all do. And, they're all going to do the cover your behind, right? Obama's going to say, look, I just ordered the assessment because there were credible threats about Russian interference and this and that. And he just needs a toehold to make that claim. And then I left it to the professionals. This is why we have a CIA director, FBI director, DNI, is because these are experts in counter intel and statecraft. And then Brennan's going to say, well, I just following orders to do this reassessment and I put my top people on it. And the top people are going to say, well, some of them, I mean, if it gets to this point, are going to say, well, yeah, but I disagreed with the director's conclusion. I voiced that, and he just Bigfooted me. And then Brent said, well, that's not how I recollect it. And then everybody walks away. If it even gets to the point of finger pointing. But when you start to insinuate that people who are not culpable, who just really were subordinated because they're subordinates, are the real ones to blame here, if there's any blame to be leveled, I mean, it gets people a little jumpy. Are they going to make me the fall guy? The hell with that. I'll tell you what I know. We'll see. I thought that was really interesting, though, for him to... I didn't draft that. That's the first time I've heard him say something like that. To, sort of be an innocent bystander. I just, this is what we have expert staff for, essentially, is what he's saying. Up until now, it's been the John Brennan show. Now he's saying, I'm a manager and I have these analysts, and the analysts gave me this assessment that I was ordered to do by the president, and I pass it along. That's all. Because I'm a patriot. Trying to make the world safer. Mike in Union, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, Dan, the soundbite that you played of him made it sound like he wasn't going to stand by and let these things occur. He put himself as the vanguard and the protector of the United States. So, listening to his comments, he put himself above everybody, and he should go to jail.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Oh, no, I mean, he's definitely, one of the great vanguards of our democracy, the way that the left always talks about it. Oh, there's no question. No question. I mean, that was that was the essentially framing of the question that wasn't a question. The prompt by Simone Sanders on MSNBC when he went off on that riff about, I'm just a nonpartisan guy who hates politics, trying to do the right thing to enhance our national security, to make the world a safer place. Please don't call me a hero. Simone Sanders' prompt was like, Director Brennan, is our democracy going to be okay? And she might as well have been sitting on his lap. Absurd. The whole thing ridiculous. Pete in Montgomery.
Good morning, Dan. I am so very confused about this.
Okay.
Now, did Durham not get this information, or did he have it and not use it? Is it left out of the Durham report?
This is the annex to his report that was classified. So, and it was classified by John Durham. So no, he had this information. It's from his report.
So it's been sitting there all along, unused, and now we're saying, and believe me, I would love to see people go to jail that need to go to jail.
Yeah.
That it was hidden and not used, yada, yada, yada.
Well, it was classified. It wasn't hidden, although it is worth noting that Kash Patel reported this week that this was in a quote-unquote burn bag in a secret room at FBI. So I don't know, the number of copies of this. I don't know, frankly, I don't know what John Durham would have to say about this. I think you're getting to an important question, though, is I would like to hear from John Durham for him to explain to us, to the American people, based here, why did he come down on the side of saying there was no case to pursue against McCabe, against Brennan, against Comey, at minimum for perjury, given what we know they testified to publicly and under oath, which he knows, and what he came to understand was going on behind the scenes well before there was any formal investigation that the public was aware of, and the basis of said public investigation when it was revealed. Tell us why there was not enough there here to pursue charges against these individuals, because I'm a little sketchy on that, actually. And I suppose
that's
John
where
Durham,
I'm at as well.
Yeah, I suppose John Durham is the one that has to answer that question. I mean, we'll get some legal analysts on to offer their opinions as well. Thanks for the call, Pete. But yeah, that's what I want from John Durham is, I mean, even if you don't think like I've got everything I need. Why wouldn't you pursue? Why wouldn't you inform so that somebody else could pursue if a pursuit was no longer optional for you for some particular reason or another? Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping somebody can get to Durham and he may have some public comments about this because, frankly, as a special prosecutor, he's sort of owed a public he owes the public an explanation here as to now we've got this information, we've consumed it or beginning to and assimilate it, starting to ask questions. John Durham needs to come back into the public arena and answer those questions that people have.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to relieffactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
This is an urgent message for investors over the age of 50. Silver is on the verge of making history. This is an opportunity you can't miss. We're Advantage Gold, the #1 rated precious metals company in America, and we've helped thousands of investors move their IRA, 401k, or retirement account into physical gold and silver. Call 800-900-8000 now, or visit us at AdvantageGold.com and get our free 2025 Silver Investor Report. You'll learn how to get up to $10,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. Past performance may vary. Consult your financial or tax advisor. Call us at 800-900-8000.
Hey, AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story, and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
AM 560. The Answer.
I just wanted to add some emphasis. I didn't want to gloss over this. Just so focused on the principles here. But that memo from Leonard Bernardo, the Soros guy, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julia's idea about the Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. Her idea. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. The point is to make the Russia play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something like a critical infrastructure threat for election. Say something like, make it up. And Mike Benz makes the point, not only does this relate to the fiction that was the Russian collusion, this was also what I just read there, say something like critical infrastructure threat. That was the basis to set up that Mike Benz pointing this out. That was the basis to set up the censorship industrial complex. That was the predicate for the Biden administration to start trying to push around social media companies, most notably Twitter, and tell them what they couldn't and couldn't allow to be said on their platforms. In fact, Benz makes the point, I can't yell this enough. Under DHS's own legal justification, if you were sitting on your toilet seat during the 2020 election and tweeted that you didn't trust mail-in ballots, DHS flagged you to Twitter as carrying out a cyber attack on U.S. critical infrastructure. So it wasn't just the predicate for the Russian collusion hoax to take down Trump. It was also the predicate for a phony baloney concern about critical infrastructure to silence dissent. That is an important prong of this story. All right, coming up at 6:30, we'll get back to it. And, of course, we got Open Mic Friday at the end of the 8 o'clock hour for people to comment, for us to discuss this some more. But coming up at 6:36, we're going to talk to former mayor of Cincinnati and former Ohio Secretary of State Ken Blackwell about those Cincy beatings. That's 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 67 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The high price of pharmaceuticals has gotten the attention of the White House.
Spokesperson Caroline Leavitt says the U.S. pays 3 times the price for drugs compared to other countries, and President Trump is determined to tackle the problem.
The president is determined to solve this problem and took further action today. He has signed 17 letters to pharmaceutical companies' CEOs.
Leavitt says the letters from Trump to the CEOs of several drug companies tell them it's an unacceptable burden on hardworking Americans. The letters will be asking for immediate relief and includes a 60-day deadline. I'm Mark Mayfield.
The plans are set for a new $200 million ballroom at the White House.
Spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said construction will begin in September.
The White House State Ballroom will be a much-needed and exquisite addition of approximately 90,000 total square feet of innately designed and carefully crafted space.
On Thursday, she showed reporters renderings of the structure to be built in the East Wing, showing Greek columns and gold-encrusted chandeliers. It will be paid for by President Trump and other private donors and will be used for high-profile events. I'm Brian Shook.
News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder explains what really happened in 2016.
That Russia interfered in the 2016 election in order to help elect Donald Trump. And then after Trump got elected, the narrative became Russia interfered with the election and successfully helped Donald Trump get elected. That's the issue here.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is an urgent message for investors over the age of 50. Silver is on the verge of making history. This is an opportunity you can't miss. We're Advantage Gold, the #1 rated precious metals company in America, and we've helped thousands of investors move their IRA, 401k, or retirement account into physical gold and silver safely and securely. Call 800-900-8000 now and get our free 2025 Silver Investor Report and learn why now could be the best time to own physical silver. In this eye-opening guide, we reveal why silver is surging and could make new all-time highs, how to protect your retirement from inflation and market chaos, and the little-known IRS loophole that lets you own gold, silver, and even platinum, 100% tax and penalty-free. Plus, you'll learn how to get up to $10,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. But don't wait for this opportunity to pass you by. Call us now and learn how to own physical silver today the smart way. Call 800-900-8000 now. That's 800-900-8000. Or visit us at AdvantageGold.com. Past performance may vary. Consult your financial or tax advisor. Call us at 800-900-8000.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Robert Anderson, president of McLaughlin Body Company in the Quad Cities, and a customer of Signature Bank. When our 100-year-old family-owned manufacturing company was looking for a new bank, we found an excellent partner with Signature Bank. Signature Bank understands the challenges with manufacturing in today's highly competitive environment. We recently participated in the New Markets Tax Credit Program, and we're fortunate to have the experts at Signature Bank help us navigate the complexities of this program. With Signature Bank's support, we were able to expand not only our facility, but ultimately our business. If you're looking for a trusted banking partner for your business, look to Chicago's own Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
From the Team Hawkbrook Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens, inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 14 minutes. Outbound, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy, inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 12 minutes. Outbound is 13 minutes. On the Eisenhower, inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 13 minutes. Outbound, 14 minutes. On the Stevenson, inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 16 minutes. Outbound is about 15 minutes. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Looking for affordable blind shades or shutters for your home? Don't hire an expensive pro. Check out Blindster.com, where they offer custom-made window coverings at guaranteed low prices with a team of pros ready to help you with every step of the way. Blindster.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect a breezy morning, then hazy sunshine with very unhealthy air quality and a high of 76. Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Tomorrow brings hazy sunshine with reduced air quality due to wildfire smoke and a high of 79. Sunday will be mostly sunny and nice with a high of 82. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. More charges in the Cincinnati beatings cases. Talking about the beating of those two people, middle-aged white dude, middle-aged white woman who got sucker punched. By the way, I mean, a lot of focus, rightly so, is on the woman getting sucker punched and knocked out because it's, it's just difficult to watch. You see a woman lying spread out on the ground, unconscious, blood coming from her mouth after she gets cold cocked by a guy. It's barbaric. But the guy who got beat up by a mob, it was pretty ridiculous too. Not just kicking a guy when he's down, when you've got 10, 15 on one, but also one of the guys who was participated in that melee, did a WWE run and elbow hammer him to the ground. It was unhinged. Anyway, one of the three suspects under arrest, as we talked about the other day, was back in court on Thursday, facing 3 new charges. Hamilton County prosecutors allege this suspect, quote, coordinated, unquote, with another suspect in what police properly described as a violent attack. So there was premeditation, there was coordination, and an ambush. The why is still unclear to me, but more charges have been filed. The other thing that's unclear to me, that police chief, when she did that, a public lecture about sharing these videos of what happened on social media, that those videos lack context and you're making the police's job more difficult. As I said yesterday, the clear insinuation is that there may be mitigating circumstances that are not properly conveyed in those videos that were posted. When in point of fact, what we find out, according to police investigators, according to prosecutors who've now filed these charges that I just described, is there weren't mitigating factors, there were aggravating factors, premeditation and coordination. So how could the police chief be so oblivious to where this case was going based, where the evidence suggested this case should go? I mean, did she talk to her detectives? And maybe not, I guess, since she's being sued by her police lieutenants for discrimination against white officers. Anyway, it seems like we've got a bit of a DEI mess in Cincinnati, but for more on-the-ground perspectives from someone who knows better than me, Ken Blackwell joins us, former mayor of Cincinnati, also former Secretary of State for the state of Ohio, and Deputy Undersecretary at Department of Housing and Urban Development as well. Ken Blackwell, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's always good to be with you. Good morning.
Good morning. So, give us your handle on how this has played out over this week.
Let's start with the police chief. I don't know if you're old enough to have, or if you've had an opportunity to look back at that old TV series, Dragnet, and Joe Friday. One of the famous lines out of that series was, "Just the facts, Jack." And this police chief, from the very beginning, has been more concerned about narrative control and getting at the facts. And so she's tried to define this situation in a direction that minimizes the seriousness of it, and she's tried to place blame as opposed to, in fact, getting to the facts and helping build a case to prosecute the wrongdoers. So that's this start there. This was a mob action. It was a beatdown. You've heard a number of people say, well, this started out between 2 individuals. Maybe it did. It didn't end up between 2 individuals. There is now a case being made that this escalated to mob action, and then there was just a violent and inhuman actions taken by a mob of people. And now it looks as if a case is being made that a lot of this was deliberate. So starting with the police chief, and then looking at the situation, this was a weekend of one of the signature events of the city for decades, and that's the music festival. And while in most years there have been very few incidences that spoiled the the image and the time that the people had together for the festival. Well, this year, at a time when crime was escalating in the downtown area, we had too few police officers. And why did we have too few police officers? Because in total, we have too few police officers in our forces. Why? One, because it's becoming more and more difficult to recruit folks to be police officers, officers of peace, protectors of public safety. And that's because there's been a coordinated, deliberate attack on police officers, and there's low morale. There's internecine headbutting going on, and this police chief has a force that is looking upon her as a failed leader.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't seem like she's the only one either. I mean,
no, she's not. I mean, she's not. The city council, the mayor. Look.
Yeah, where? Well, that's what I was going to ask. Where is Pureval, the mayor? He's been sort of noticeably absent. Is he like in
action?
Is he in Ghana with Karen Bass or something?
Let me tell you. In 1980, I was at a U.S. Conference of Mayors meeting. I got a call from the head of our police force, or the deputy chief, saying, "Mayor, you got to get back in town. We have 2 kids who have been killed by what we think is a serial racist killer." I got back in the town and got right in the middle of making sure that I pulled my community together and that they had a sense that we were going after this. This is the same situation. There's no excuse for the mayor not being on the scene and providing leadership.
And the other thing that happened, this is sort of a little bit downplayed because of some of the incendiary comments from like members of one member of the city council in particular. But the vice mayor there, Jan Michelle Lamone Kearney, she sort of characterized this as, sort of a one-off incident of adults fighting. Very much down. So it seems that, like, sort of speaking of coordination, it seems like this is like coordinated to downplay, to minimize rather than to address this commensurate with what happened. Yes.
Well, look, that's exactly it. One, the vice mayor understands something, that capital seeks the path of least resistance and greatest opportunity, and capital hates violence. And at a time when we need more capital investment in the city, you can't have a situation where the public perception is that things are out of control in Cincinnati. And Cincinnati is a place where mob action takes place. There's nobody that's going to invest. So that's why they got so much concern about narrative control that they didn't understand the best approach here, the best signal to send is that you're serious about getting to the bottom of this. You're serious about dealing with a judicial system that has half of the judges, using the jailhouse door as a revolving door. They, in fact, put this guy right back on the street with a $400 bail.
Yeah.
What kind of nonsense is that? So it is a systemic breakdown that has to be addressed.
So, I mean, we talk about this a lot because, of course, we have a long run of failed mayors in Chicago, too, and it just seems to be getting worse. Like, once upon a time, Cincinnati elected Ken Blackwell. Would Cincinnati or some other mid-size urban center, do you think, will they elect a Ken Blackwell again somewhere at some point? Will common sense prevail somewhere at some point? This is what we're looking for.
I think so, and you're starting to see, I think, significant shifts in attitudes and voting patterns among many of the constituent parts in the city of Cincinnati. This time around for Trump, you saw a shift, particularly among black males. at the end of the day, people are concerned about their own safety. And while we have a real problem with the behavior that took place last weekend in Cincinnati, the reality is that there are many residents of Cincinnati who are concerned about their own safety. They're concerned about police response time when they need police help. And so people are not going to sit back and take this when they can begin to see that this has gotten out of control and is impacting their lives, their families, particularly their children. I think you will see a response. And whether it's a challenge to the mayor with Corey Bowman or, common sense, and I would encourage you, Linda Matthews, Black woman, community activist who said enough is enough, and they have the courage to put their reputations, their thoughts on the line and compete. I think there will be a change in this upcoming election.
Before we let you go, I did want to get your review of the Brutalist Presidential Library that is under construction right now in Chicago. It's always nice to get an outside perspective. What do you think about Obama Land as it is coming to form? It probably one to me is it's an eyesore. Two, it cost overruns. Three, I think it is generally being perceived as something that is symbolic of the disaster of his and disastrous impact of his shift of federal policy in the United States, where he, in the final analysis, expanded the welfare state, the power of the administrative state, and did very, very little to improve the living conditions of Americans. So I think it will eventually be symbolic of his failed administration. Yeah, I like what you wrote. It looks like the Ministry of Truth from a failed Marxist state. Well, it's located in a failed Marxist city, so I guess that would be appropriate. Ken Blackwell, former mayor of Cincinnati, also served as deputy undersecretary at HUD. Ken, thanks as always. Appreciate your time. Always good. God bless. Thank you. And he joined us on the Turnkey Differential line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old joke about Uncle Sam's tax short form. The first line says, "How much did you make?" The next line says, "Send it in." Sadly, That's not funny at all for honest people who pay taxes. But that's exactly what a lot of people do in their retirement. They take money out of their 401k and their IRA, and they send it into the IRS. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group believes there's a better plan for your retirement than Uncle Sam's plan of send it in. What if your current plan includes thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees? What if you're headed for higher Medicare payments, lower Social Security checks? What if the savings you may realize allows you to retire even earlier? Wouldn't you want to know all of that right now? Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group and find out today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. You can also visit alphawealthgroup.com to schedule your no-obligation consultation.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft here. Coming up at 7:07, we'll take stock of President Trump's second term as it hits the 6-month mark. Maybe have a few more questions about the Durham Annex that was declassified and released by Senator Grassley yesterday, as we were discussing earlier. When Daniel Alvarez joins us, RNC Senior Advisor Daniel Alvarez, she will be here at 7:07 to talk about the highlights of the first 6 months. It is now 7 o'clock on AM 560, WIND Chicago.
They aren't in effect yet. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Tariffs that were going to start today have been pushed back to next Thursday on imports from dozens of countries.
Countries that were not making specific new deals for themselves with the U.S. were just told what their new rates are going to be. Mostly 15 to 20%, with some much higher. The highest in the world now, Syria, 41%, Laos and Burma, 40%, Switzerland, 39%, and Canada, our neighbors to the north, 35%.
That Canadian tariff actually goes into effect today, up from 25 on goods not covered by a trade agreement, with President Trump accusing Canada of treating our farmers unfairly. And Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House also reads this reaction.
The Ontario Premier Doug Ford says it's actually time to fight, and Canada shouldn't settle for anything less than the right deal. Now is not the time to roll over. We need to stand our ground.
Former President Biden lashed out last night, warning that President Trump wants to dismantle the Constitution.
To erase history rather than make it. To erase fairness, equality, to erase justice itself.
And after the former president said that to the National Bar Association in Chicago, his ex-VP Kamala Harris, who replaced him in the 2024 election and lost, went on the CBS Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He asked Harris, who's leading the Democratic Party?
Who comes to mind?
I think there are a lot of, I'm not going to go through names because then I'm going to leave somebody out and then I'm going to hear about it.
President Trump says that campaign he won was weird.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call her a skilled politician.
Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who went to Israel for ceasefire talks in the war against Hamas, went to Gaza today to tour food distribution sites, along with U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee, who posted on X praise for GHF, the U.S. and Israeli-backed organization that he says has distributed 100 million meals in 2 months, but there's growing international concern about starving Palestinians and deadly attacks on crowds trying to get the food. America's listening to Fox.
Good morning. It's 69 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Chicago's dealing with some severe air quality issues. AccuWeather rated the city's air quality as the worst in the world yesterday. The National Air Quality Index throughout Chicagoland and the state is higher than anticipated due to Canadian wildfire smoke. An air quality alert is in effect until tonight. Authorities are confirming that the body of a kayaker who went missing on the Fox River in the western suburbs has been located. Taylor Russell's body was recovered yesterday morning near the Great Western Trail Bridge after a person called 911 to report a body in the water. The victim had fallen in the water Tuesday night while fishing with another person in a kayak. The preliminary cause of his death is drowning. 2 men are dead following a shooting in Gary, Indiana. Authorities say that Dante Givens and Dion Stewart were shot early yesterday in the parking lot of the Village Shopping Center in the 3500 block of Village Court. Their deaths have been ruled homicides. There's no word of any arrests. A man is going to federal prison for robbing 2 taxi drivers and a rideshare driver at gunpoint in Chicago. Anthony Reed was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Prosecutors say Reed committed the violent robberies over the span of several days in February of 2022. In each of the incidents, Reed threatened to kill the driver if they didn't hand over their money and belongings. During one of the robberies, Reed used the butt of the gun to hit the driver in the head. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
H.R. 4, which is our rescissions package, the first of what we believe will be multiple rescissions packages. That's our plan. I'm delighted to send that over to the President's desk for signature, and he'll sign that quickly.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill, Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
If something happens to you, what happens to your family? Will they struggle financially? Will they be able to afford the home you built together? With Ethos, you can get life insurance coverage in minutes. Get up to $2 million in coverage for as little as $2 a day. All online with no medical exam. Just answer a few health questions. Get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy. Rates may vary. Billed monthly. Sample rate 10-year term life policy for a 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
From the Team Hoffberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. On the outbound side, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 15 minutes. On the outbound side, 15 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 19 minutes. Outbound, 18 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes. Outbound, 18 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, about 13 minutes. Outbound is about 11 minutes. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect a breezy morning, then hazy sunshine with very unhealthy air quality and a high of 76. Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Tomorrow brings hazy sunshine with reduced air quality due to wildfire smoke and a high of 79. Sunday will be mostly sunny and nice with a high of 82. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, as we have discussed many times. Over the last 4 years, a lot of people didn't feel like maybe they could speak up, stand out, challenge the orthodoxy within their school district, their local, state, federal government, university. But what they could do is vote for Donald Trump to send a message to those intolerant types that lord over those institutions I mentioned. And that's what they did. And as we mentioned a bit earlier in the program, there are some center-left that want their party to return to something like it was, sort of have a DLC sort of reform, like after the Dukakis catastrophe that gave rise to Clinton and 2 terms. But they see the same things that we see, which is, as Larry Sabato actually put it, shockingly, I don't find him usually insightful, although it doesn't take much insight to offer this description. It is so patently obvious. Larry Sabato, the party, the Democrats, as a whole, has become intolerant of ideological diversity in its ranks. Democrats are far too left on many social issues and insist their candidates check all of the boxes, whatever the electorate as a whole may want. Democrats are even in worse shape than all these factors suggest. After the 2030 census, they'll lose more electoral votes and House seats. Well, thus the open borders importation effort. I digress. With the Democratic Party's collapse in rural states, it's difficult to find a way for the party to secure a Senate majority without any staying power. Unless Democrats get religion on all of this and decide to let 1,000 flowers bloom with nominees that fit their states and districts, as well as candidates who are not expected to fall in line on every social issue, the future really doesn't look particularly bright for the party. No, it does not. And to the extent that Rahm Emanuel saying that boys and girls are different is some sort of momentous statement within that party's power circles says a lot about that party and why it is in even worse shape than it was in 2020, even in worse shape in 2025 than it was in 2024. And also, they can't really get rid of Biden and Harris from popping up here and there into the public domain, which isn't helping anything. But just on terms of the issues of where they are and how unrelenting they are, they're getting louder, not more thoughtful. Are you not hearing me? Let me introduce you to Jasmine Crockett. Are you not hearing me? Let me introduce you to AOC. Are you not hearing me? Let me introduce you to Sarah McBride, the man pretending to be a woman who's a member of Congress now from Delaware. Of course he is.
I think you are kind of seeing an attempt to course correct from some prominent Democrats. Like Rahm Emanuel was recently asked by Megyn Kelly whether a man could become a woman, and he said no. Gavin Newsom recently said that he believes transgender athletes shouldn't compete in women's sports. Do you worry about an overcorrection here?
I do believe that those statements have been overcorrections, yes. But I also believe that and look, I don't want to also question the authenticity. I mean, I don't know the motivations for some of those comments. I don't want to question the authenticity of those beliefs. If those are their authentic beliefs, people can have a conversation. But I don't believe that is the place we need to go. Republicans are the ones that are obsessed with this issue. And that's one of my gripes with sort of the Rahm's framing, is he perpetually accepts this notion that the Democratic Party is more interested in bathrooms than classrooms, and that's just not true.
No, what is true is Well, that is true, actually. But what it is true in addition, per that exchange between McBride and Dasha Burns, is when you can't acknowledge what is the simple truth, then you lose credibility. You come across as not moored to terra firma. When you don't know what a woman is, you can't define one, it's sort of a conversation ender. Mayor Pete making the rounds too, trying to buoy his presidential ambitions, I suppose. Trying to parse the boys and girls sports issue.
When President Trump says something like no boys and girls sports, which is a phrase that they use, it sounds like you're not signing on to that.
I think that chess is different from weightlifting, and weightlifting is different from volleyball, and middle school is different from the Olympics. So that's exactly why I think that we shouldn't be grandstanding on this as politicians. We should be empowering communities and organizations and schools to make the right decisions.
Chess is different than weightlifting. I can see the point. But this is where, again, when you eschew common sense, you just lose all credibility to have to generate consideration on anything. Certainly political support. Yeah, we all know that chess is different than weightlifting, Mayor Pete. What we're all talking about is boys and girls playing the same sport, boys competing against girls in girls' sports where they clearly have a innate physical advantage. Innate physical advantage. That's what we're talking about. That's what everybody who's sane is talking about. And you're trying to parse the issues with rhetorical sleights of a tongue to appeal to these constituencies that you're tethered to. And those sorts of answers that you heard from McBride and Mayor Pete tell you everything that you need to know about where that party is at present. For more on this and the first 6 months of the Trump administration, on the positive side too, not just obsessing about our opponents, but the contrast is important. Danielle Alvarez joins us. She is a senior advisor for the Republican National Committee. Danielle, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. It is great to be on with you.
I know you want to accentuate the positives, and we'll certainly do that. But I mean, it's important to understand this dynamic between the two parties because, as we've discussed on this program, oftentimes, for a long time, and this Trump really changed this to his credit, there were a lot of Republicans that were very skittish about addressing what were considered social or moral issues, and it was to their detriment. And Trump, particularly after last year's performance, has really brought that point home.
Listen, I am happy to do both and bash on Democrats over a morning cup of coffee. Let's talk about what an embarrassment this Democrat Party is. And I think you highlighted it perfectly in the lead to this segment. They have no leader. They have no winning policy to drive. They have no message. And you said it perfectly. They are bringing out the Bernie Sanders, the AOC, the Jasmine Crockett. Wait a second, that's been a disaster. Maybe we go back to Nancy Pelosi. We just saw the disaster that was Cory Booker's childish meltdown on the Senate floor. They are all trying to elevate themselves, as you use the word buoy themselves, to become the new leader of the Democrat Party. The problem that they have is the contrast with the Republican Party. When we won majorities in the House, the Senate, the White House, the popular vote, growing with every demographic across the country, we were forced to lead and govern well. So that's the contrast. Democrats who are rudderless, who are embarrassing themselves with childish antics across the country, and Republicans who are leading well. We have a secure border. The border is enforced. Criminals are being deported. We have fairer trade. We have record-setting tariff revenue. GDP and the economy is outperforming. America is back, baby, and it's under President Donald Trump and Republican leadership.
What's your perspective, with this latest document that was released as foreshadowed over the last weekend by John Ratcliffe. The Durham annex, the annex from the Durham report, declassified, released, that again provides more substantiation to the truth of the matter, which is that there was an orchestrated effort by the Obama White House and the Hillary Clinton campaign to manufacture a Russian collusion story to derail a presidency. Also, as has been pointed out from some of the contents of that Durham annex, it also provided this lie about critical infrastructure being compromised by the Russians was also used as the predicate to set up the censorship industrial complex under Biden as well. I mean, so we start to get the truth and the evidence to support the case, and yet I think it's still going to feel very unsatisfying to a whole host of Trump voters if there isn't some sort of reckoning, individual reckoning, perhaps criminal, to some of these bad actors that have now been exposed as having been bad actors for the better part of the last decade.
And the reality is, unfortunately, there's many of us who have known that these are bad actors. And the mainstream media and the legacy media has promoted these Russia collusions. I mean, we all knew that they were lying about the Hunter Biden laptop. I'll tell you a personal story. I was a senior advisor on the Trump campaign. I remember when we were directing our rapid response team on the communications front to put videos of Joe Biden unable to string sentences together, breathing like he did on the CNN debate, unable to walk off stage. And I'm not one to typically shout at reporters, but having a screaming match with a New York Times reporter who was telling me that our team was manipulating video and that Karine Jean-Pierre had dubbed this a cheap fake. I think our nation is sick and tired of being lied to, is sick and tired of the legacy media carrying the water of the deep state. And I think you're exactly right. We need to have a reckoning. We need to have truth, because we now know that this Russia was a hoax. We've been now dealing with it for nearly a decade plus, and we have to make sure to hold individuals accountable. That's what this administration is doing. They want to bring truth to light. They want to make sure that the American people, who for a long time were a silent majority and no longer, know the truth, so that we can put that behind us and focus on policies that will uplift American families, American businesses, and help benefit us all.
Now, I mean, some of the critiques that Trump has endured from people who are erstwhile his supporters, myself included, are in the areas of trade policy, in the areas of spending policy. Let's talk about spending just for a second. The Doge thing was such an innovation, because it wasn't just another blue ribbon reinventing a government commission. It was really an attempt to begin a culture change that will have to be sustained for years in order to be effective, and to unleash cabinet secretaries and agency directors like Lee Zeldin over at EPA to do the good work that they're doing, on their own, spontaneous order, independently, parallel tracks. So there's a lot of good that's happened there. But the big, beautiful bill was not exactly a testament to fiscal conservatism. And now we have the unveiling of plans for a new White House ballroom at a time when, I think everybody would acknowledge, we're collectively spending beyond our means, and we have been for a long time. I mean, is that really a good look in what is supposed to be a Doge era, to be talking about upgrades to the White House for hosting events?
Here's what I'll say is the One Big Beautiful Bill is probably the most conservative piece of legislation, at least in my generation, if not ever. It made permanent the president's tax cuts, which greatly benefits the American people. Let me say it in the inverse. Every single Democrat voted to increase our taxes. Republicans made sure that we got no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and that we made permanent President Trump's tax cuts of the first administration. It made permanent President Trump's border security. Now, this type of bill couldn't make permanent by law DOGE cuts. And that's why you're seeing Congress bring up rescission packages to make sure that we can make those DOGE cuts permanent. Because one of the things we have to remember, first of all, it's been about 6 months since the president was sworn in. I think sometimes we forget because we have been moving at about 100 miles an hour. But it's only been 6 months since the president was sworn into office. We are cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. The president has done it through executive order. The president has fought liberal judges from the bench because we know that Democrats like to weaponize the judicial system. And now, and this really is a challenge to the Republican Party, to our own party, Congress has to act. Because what we can't have is 4 years of good leadership, but as soon as a new president is elected, everything is undone. We need to make sure that Congress codifies all of these cuts, that we get our rescission packages passed, that we permanently cut waste, fraud, and abuse, because we know what can happen. During the 45 administration in 2016, President Trump secured the border with a stroke of a pen, and Joe Biden undid it all with a stroke of a pen.
Right.
We cannot have that, and it really, truly is a challenge for Congress to make sure that these DOGE cuts are made permanent, that we have full fiscal responsibility. Because as we approach the midterms, which are still a year and a half away, good governance is the only way that we are going to be successful, because it is the mandate that the American people gave us.
Right. I mean, I definitely agree with you in terms of Congress needs to act. And if we're being honest with ourselves and our party, we've got narrow majority, particularly in the House, and we've got a couple of handfuls, probably maybe more, of Republicans in both caucuses that are not offended by government spending. That, let me just be polite about it. And so it's problematic to try to get the structural reforms. I think anybody who's serious about reducing the size and scope of expensive government has to engage. I mean, all the money is spent on those big social welfare, social engineering systems. And at some point, somebody's going to have to provide the leadership to generate a conversation about a framework, how these things go in D.C., to rethink how we do big entitlement programs where most of our money is spent because, because they're unsustainable in our current trajectory. And I know people don't want to do it before the midterm, and then people don't want to do it before the presidential. There's always an election around the corner. So at some point, somebody's going to have to provide the leadership. And if Congress doesn't, then maybe the president will. What do you think?
Well, I think that it absolutely has to happen, and that's why the president created DOGE. That's why we have saved, billions, trillions of dollars. But the president is focused through these DOGE cuts. I mean, we all have heard the great cuts that happened to USAID. It's funny how Democrats and the DNC can't fundraise anymore. Now that USAID has been cut by DOGE. But the reality is that the president is pulling several levers at once. Not only are we cutting funds, but we are also pulling levers to make sure that we are bringing more money into our economy and into our country. The first being through tariffs. I mean, Democrats said that tariffs wouldn't work. Well, we now know that $150 billion has come in as a result of tariffs. It's actually historic. Normally, if an administration can negotiate one trade deal, that's a win. 2 trade deals, oh my goodness, 3 trade deals, unheard of. The president is negotiating with 90 countries at once. In fact, last night, very late last night, he gave 7 more days to countries who haven't come to the table. Well, that's bringing in right now an estimated $150 billion into the economy, which the president has toyed with the idea of providing a rebate. We could certainly pay down debt with those funds. I know the president will be very thoughtful in how he uses those dollars. But we also have a lot of money coming in because we're pulling levers on the economy, right? There was really high income growth this week. There was 3% GDP growth. Our consumer price index dropped all the way down to 2.1%. So we're seeing great success financially, economically in the first 6 months of this president's administration. And let's be very honest, there were a lot of naysayers that said that this couldn't be done. So I know I'm an eternal optimist, but I am very hopeful and I am very optimistic about the future and the direction of our country. And under President Trump's leadership, we have seen the way he was able to whip votes for the one big, beautiful bill. I think that we are all going to work together to get our fiscal house in order.
Danielle Alvarez is a senior advisor for the RNC, Republican National Committee. Danielle, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you for having me.
Yep. And she joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
FestGen Wealth Partners knows you're feeling the pinch of rising cost of living, and you are not alone. Potentially maximize your savings and get the guidance you need through times of uncertainty with a team at FestGen Wealth Partners. Get started at GetRetiredStayRetired.com.
Advisory services offered through Best Gen Advisors, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and Best Gen Advisors, LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. Best Gen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
AM 560.
The Answer.
Dan Proft here. Well, before I get to that, some people made mention the White House ballroom. It's been reported that Trump and other investors will pay for the $200 million ballroom privately. That wasn't really my point. I should have been clear, but that's not really my point. My point is, it's just like talking about we're generating more revenue for the government. I don't want more government opulence. And I don't want more money in the government coffers. I want government being forced to pare down. I want the footprint of government to shrink. I want less fewer politicians offering tributes to themselves via government buildings and government expansions and government pomp and circumstance. Even within Republican ranks, especially when the candidates we support are in office, we are way too accommodating of government, way too government-centric in our thinking. That was a more developed effort, what I was trying to get to with Danielle Alvarez. Anyway, we can discuss that in Open Mic Friday further. 7:37, Jennifer Weber joins us. She is a board-certified behavioral analyst. She is also the co-founder of KIT Educational Consulting. We're going to talk to her about a report on the negative impact, quote-unquote, restorative justice had on New York City schools, something that's practiced in many of the schools in Chicagoland as well. That's 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 69 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer Newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. The Trump administration is finalizing reciprocal tariffs on dozens of countries. On Thursday, President Trump signed an executive order increasing tariffs on products from around 70 countries while touting deals made just before his deadline.
We have made a few deals today that are excellent deals for the country. You know, we're taking in literally trillions of dollars for the country.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer blasts President Trump's decision to place 15% tariffs on South Korea.
And then he pretends like that's some kind of victory. 15% is far from a victory because it is American families who are ones who are going to have to pay for it in the end.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says no specific deal has been made yet with China.
China is their own thing. We have our own team working with China. They're their own thing.
Originally set to go into effect today, the new rates will now kick in next week. Trade deals so far have been agreed to by the European Union, the UK, Japan, and South Korea, among others. Trump has also announced tariffs on Canada will be increased from 25 to 35%. This news update is quickly delivered to you by a quick delivery service. Why are you sitting in Friday traffic? Time is money when you need your items delivered quickly. Quick delivery service will be there to pick it up and take it to its destination. Go to quickdelivery.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Sean Fest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUNFEST.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way to have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dreamed to do.
Unleash Your Wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
From the Team Hawkworth Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. On the outbound side, 13 minutes. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 15 minutes. On the outbound side, 15 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 19 minutes. Outbound, 18 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 19 minutes. Outbound, 18 minutes. This report is sponsored by Rapid Radios. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscriptions ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now I'll check your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect a breezy morning, then hazy sunshine with very unhealthy air quality and a high of 76. Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Tomorrow brings hazy sunshine with reduced air quality due to wildfire smoke and a high of 79. Sunday will be mostly sunny and nice with a high of 82. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, school discipline, something we've talked about intermittently over the years, including in the aftermath of horrific tragedies. You won't hear this from David Hogg, but a big part of the story in the mass murder that occurred at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, was the contributing factor that was the restorative justice approach that school district, Broward County Schools, took and perhaps still take. Remember the superintendent, Robert Runcie? He learned his craft in Chicago before he went down to Florida. And it was really thanks in large measure to a motivated parent. This name will probably ring a bell. Haven't heard from him in a while, but was very outspoken. Andrew Pollack, whose daughter Meadow Pollack was one of those murdered in 2018 at that mass shooting at the school. He wanted answers. Pulled up an op-ed that he wrote from back then. A few weeks after the massacre, I asked whether the Broward School District's disciplinary leniency policies enabled the shooter to slip through the cracks. The superintendent, Runcie, called questions like mine fake news because the shooter, had never been referred to the school's diversionary program while in high school. The diversionary program allows students who commit certain misdemeanors to avoid getting involved with the criminal justice system. This was the zeitgeist during the Obama administration of ending the quote-unquote school-to-prison pipeline. This was part of ensuring that the incidents of disciplinary action taken by schools, whether suspensions or expulsions, was not disproportionately being visited on students of color. You know, all the identitarian counting by race stuff that party still wants to do, but isn't so popular anymore in part because of the terrible consequences. So but anyway, getting back to this, Runcie tells Pollack never referred to the diversionary program while in high school. And then we found out that he had been referred to the diversionary program in middle school. Wait till talk about being honest with your parents, your constituents. We found out that the shooter who killed all those kids threatened to kill other students, threatened to rape other students, threatened to shoot up the school. And, of course, they all knew it, including Runcie, because he was patted down, searched by a security guard every day, except that fateful day. Classmates said he brought knives and bullets to school. He wrote hideous racial slurs on his backpack. He carved swastikas in the lunchroom tables. But the assistant principals, this is Andrew Pollack writing, didn't have him arrested. They simply banned him from bringing a backpack to school and frisked him every day, according to the testimony of the security guard who searched him for fear he'd bring a deadly weapon and kill people, which, of course, he did. Broward County's policies allow juveniles convicted of crimes as serious as murder and rape to go back into normal classrooms. And we've seen this play out in other school districts around the country, too. And the incidence of violence against adults in school systems, teachers, but not limited to teachers, it's a serious thing. In fact, it's so serious that the Texas legislature this past May passed a bill that makes it easier for teachers to remove misbehaving students from classrooms and extends the allowable time for in-school tuitions. This was after some 3,300 Texas school district employees were targets of student assaults in the 23-24 school year. It's a real thing. There's been some high-profile incidents, but just the number of incidents, I think, would surprise many. For more on the topic, please be joined by Jennifer Weber. She is a board-certified behavioral analyst and doctoral candidate based in New York City and co-founder of KIT Educational Consulting. She has penned a report for the Manhattan Institute, The Cost of Restorative Justice in New York City Schools, her research work. Jennifer Weber, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So you looked at the practice of restorative justice in the New York City schools, and you found what?
That New York City has spent close to $100 million over the last 10 years, and there has been, not to any surprise, no positive results from it. There's been increases in police interventions, there's been increases in absenteeism, and by removing the discipline, by removing accountability, it's created a lot of chaos in the classrooms and across the schools.
Yeah, this is interesting too. Well, one of the approaches that's taken, as mentioned in your report, is instead of suspending or expelling kids, they send kids who are misbehaving to "quote unquote" meditation rooms. It reminds me of Waiting for Superman in the rubber rooms that teachers were sent to, who were either derelict in their duties or worse. But you couldn't fire them, so you just throw them in a room to sit there and do crossword puzzles all day while they get paid. So this is sort of the same thing, meditation rooms for students.
Exactly. So instead of holding students accountable, you're kind of giving the students what they want. And it's also obviously taking the teacher out of the mix. So now you've got limited learning occurring, and the students know no boundaries.
And so, I mean, and by the way, we're not just talking about like misbehaving, like being obstreperous or being a cut up in class. We're talking about incidents of real violence.
Yes.
Can you give us a couple examples?
Yeah, there was, there was an example in the New York Post that had been reported of a student allegedly trying to stab a teacher. And so you are talking about these more violent, physically violent incidences along other types of misbehavior too. And so you're looking at putting safety for all students and the teachers at risk. And unfortunately, without having that accountability and students knowing really no boundaries, it just continues. In the first quarter of 2025, so one quarter, there was over 4,000 incidences where the police had to get involved of 2025 in New York City schools.
And it's interesting, too, because just in terms of how the teachers' unions handle it, because they're so on board with this ideologically, but their rank and file are running into some problems. And so on the one hand, they talk about safe classrooms and protecting our members and particularly when high profile incidents happen. But on the other end, they're supportive of these programs because they play the same identitarian games that the politicians do when it comes to, what was the race of the students that were suspended, and is it reflective of the student population, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. And that is so harmful to everyone. I mean, there's nothing more equitable than holding all students to a standard and really teaching all students what it means to follow rules and know that there are boundaries and there's consequences for actions.
And I mentioned Texas, but Arkansas, Washington State, there have been several states that are now moving away from restorative justice and trying to provide teachers and administrators with more essentially power to do exactly what you just said, hold all the kids to the same standard and discipline them accordingly as needed. I wonder, if you think this is a national trend, or this is something that is happening sort of one at a time based on the level of political pressure that is being brought?
In April, President Trump had an executive order to bring discipline back on behavior, not identity. So I think that is a huge help. And I think that executive order is important in just trying to get these states to move back towards disciplining students based on behavior and just keeping everybody safe in schools.
Yeah, and we probably need to go back to a time just culturally when the kid was more afraid of what was going to happen to him at home than what would happen to him at school if he misbehaved. We've sort of veered from that a bit, haven't we?
Yes. And so that is definitely another piece that has to also be a focus. But I think that from at least what the schools can control, because the schools can't necessarily always control what's happening at home, but at least what the schools can control is giving students consequences based on behavior.
And one of the solutions that recommendations that you highlight in your piece is redirecting fund towards in-school solutions. So what's an in-school solution that you think should be funded, distinct from sort of the in-school solutions that restorative justice advocates?
Well, I think when I say in-school solutions, I am really talking about giving teachers, giving the school administrators in the building the tools, the resources, for them to know how to discipline, how to appropriately provide consequences. So I think training to teachers, training to building principals, other school-based administrators is important. So when there is some type of misbehavior, whether it is safety or any kind of misbehavior that's occurring, everyone has the tools to be able to respond immediately. If you have to start waiting for other individuals to get involved, it's almost like it takes too long. And so teachers and staff really need the resources to be able to respond in the moment, and also know that every behavior has a different type of consequence as well, meaning that if it's safety related, that may mean a removal, but if you're talking about a student being just disruptive, that should have a different type of consequence.
Jennifer Weber is the co-founder of KIT Educational Consulting. The piece that she did, her research work at the Manhattan Institute, entitled The Cost of Restorative Justice in New York City Schools. Jennifer Weber, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank that cares about your business and is invested in your success. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Classic Cinemas and proud customer of Signature Bank. We are a local family-owned business that is known for free refills on all sizes of popcorn, soft drinks, and ices. With over 9,000 heated recliners in 16 locations, we marry the traditions of the past with today's state-of-the-art technology. Throw in a 30-minute guarantee and an after-movie mint, and you have the perfect night out. As we strive to make every guest our priority, Signature Bank does the same with their customers. The team at Signature Bank is interested in taking my company forward. They have all the resources and solutions of the big banks, but they customize their offerings to meet my business needs. The customer always comes first with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. The president's mad at Fed Chair Jerome Powell for not cutting interest rates fast enough. But here's a better idea. Don't fire the chairman, fire the Fed. Why should a handful of unelected economists decide the price of money for 330 million people? That's not a free market. That's central planning with a necktie. Let the market set interest rates. Let lenders and borrowers negotiate like grown-ups. The Fed's track record? Boom, bust, repeat. It's time to break the cycle. If you trust the market to price gas, groceries, and gold, why not credit? It's time to ask this question seriously. Why are we still outsourcing our economy to a committee? It's time to bring interest rates back to the people. The issue isn't that Jerome Powell is in charge of the Fed. The issue is that the Fed is in charge of our interest rates. I'm Jerry Boyer.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So since that RNC advisor we talked to at the top of the hour, Daniel Alvarez, brought it up, we hadn't gotten to it. I appreciate it. Appreciate her prompting me to make sure that you heard this latest foray from one Senator Spartacus from New Jersey. It really was, as she advertised it, really quite something. Who can be the loudest, most self-indulgent Trump hater? That seems to be the contest for supremacy within the ranks of the New Marxist Party. Listen to Cory Booker, ex-boyfriend of one Rosario Dawson. So he says. Hilarious.
That's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right. And dear God, if you want to come at me that way, you're going to have to take it up with me, because there's too much on the line right now in America. As people's due process rights and freedom of the speech rights and secret police are running around this country, picking people up off the streets who have a legal right to be here. There's too much going on in this country. When are we going to stand together for principles that I just heard that we're agreed with? When are we going to stand together?
Come on and save our democracy. Oh, he's doing it for Jersey and for T-Bone, who you may remember is a distant relation of Corn Pop. A lot of imaginary friends in the ranks of these New Marxist Party potentates in there. But, you know, the moral indignation to cover moral turpitude, it's not just John Brennan and Jim Comey who have mastered that. It's also Cory Booker. You know, he's a little bit more articulate and performative than even a Jasmine Crockett. But you know, the funniest part about that is you may be thinking, listening to that harangue, well, gosh, who was he directing that at? No one. You're speaking to an empty chamber. I mean, it was completely an audition. It's exactly what this is, and it's the same thing that Jelly Belly does when he goes to New Hampshire and says, you know, these MAGA Republicans don't deserve a day of peace. It's the same thing. Coming up at 8:08, we'll talk July jobs numbers and market fundamentals with our friend Jim Perry, founder, CIO of Perry International Capital Partners. 8:08. It is now 8 o'clock, AM 560, WIND, Chicago.
A hiring slowdown. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
For the month of July, jobs came in at 73,000. That was lower than the expectation, which called for 110,000 jobs.
Fox Business Network's Maria Bartiromo on the Just Out report that also shows a big revision down in the June hiring. Instead of 147,000 jobs created like first reported, it was actually only 14,000.
The unemployment rate right in step with expectations at 4.2%.
That is a tenth higher than the June unemployment rate. President Trump again posted this morning a call for the Federal Reserve to substantially lower interest rates, again insulting Fed Chair Jerome Powell in Truth Social posts as a stubborn moron and a disaster after the Fed did not cut rates in its meeting on Wednesday. The president's delayed tariffs on a lot of imports. Instead of today, they'll be imposed next Thursday on dozens of countries.
The tariff rates range from 15 to more than 40%. The White House maintains the tariffs will reverse trade deficits with U.S. trading partners, even as economists continue to warn about inflation. A senior administration official says the higher the deficit is with a country, the higher their rate is.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. Now, the president has increased the tariff on Canadian goods not covered by a trade agreement to 35%. That's up from 25%. And that's in effect starting today. Ontario's premier says Canada must fight back. They're in mourning in Ukraine after another Russian missile and drone barrage killed at least 31 people. President Trump has given Russia until next Friday to stop that war or face new economic sanctions. Andrew McGahn due in court this hour in Arkansas, making his first appearance since he was arrested Wednesday, charged with double murder. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders just told Fox.
This individual has been caught and will not see the light of day for a long time.
Lisa McGahn has confessed to killing Clinton and Kristen Brink, a married couple, on a hiking trail at a state park Saturday in front of their young daughters who were not physically hurt. America's listening to Fox.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago in the AM 560 The Answer newsroom. I'm Nikki Whaley. Former President Joe Biden is taking aim at President Trump. Speaking at the National Bar Association's annual gala in Chicago, Biden said Trump is dismantling the Constitution.
You know, and they're doing it all too often with the help of a Congress that's just sitting in the sidelines and enabled by the highest court in the nation.
The former president also talked about the abduction of immigrants from their families and communities and highlighted the attacks on civil rights and voter access. This is Biden's first visit to Chicago since publicly disclosing that he's battling prostate cancer. Illinois is the first state in the nation to require mental health screenings for students. Governor Pritzker signed a bill that offers free mental health screening tools to Illinois public schools.
Our goal is an integrated, comprehensive approach to quality mental and behavioral health services for young people across the state.
Under current state law, screening every student each year isn't required, making it difficult for districts to identify and address mental health issues that cause barriers to learning. Some people find this very intrusive and just an absolute overreach. Now, the measure requires all school districts to offer mental health screenings to students enrolled in grades 3 through 12 and at least once a year beginning with the 2027-2028 school year. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO or FEP, you could save 90% off on average. To get your smile back, learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but now time for the Signature Bank Business Beat.
I'm Susan Lee, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The U.S. has imposed new tariffs to take effect August 7th. Dow futures are sharply lower. Many countries will pay 10%. Switzerland is facing 39%. Canada's rate was increased to 35%. The European Union, Japan, and South Korea reached an agreement with the U.S. for 15%. Chevron and ExxonMobil both reported better than expected results this morning for the spring quarter. Wall Street will also be reacting today to the monthly employment report. Apple's iPhone sales jumped 13% in the spring quarter. Customers were rushing to get a new phone before the expected impact of tariffs. Apple shares are higher. Amazon's profit rose 35%. However, Wall Street was anticipating an even stronger forecast. Shares are down 8%. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosola. Invested in you.
Town Hall News, where conservative voices cut through the noise from breaking headlines to fearless opinion. We report what matters without apology. Written by people who actually believe what you believe. Town Hall tells the stories the corporate press buries, from President Trump to Capitol Hill, from pivotal elections to your everyday lives. Join the movement at townhall.com. Real stories, real reporters, real conservative media.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Nikki Whaley. On the Edens inbound from Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes, 14 minutes outbound. On the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 18 minutes outbound, 20 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, about 24 minutes. On the outbound side, it's about 17 minutes. On the Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive, 25 minutes. On the outbound side, it's about 16 minutes. On the Dan Ryan inbound from 95th to the Byrne Interchange, 16 minutes. On the outbound side, about 11 minutes. On the Chicago Skyway, eastbound from the Dan Ryan to the Indiana State Line, 4 minutes, 7 minutes on the westbound side. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a quick check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today, expect a breezy morning, then hazy sunshine with very unhealthy air quality and a high of 76. Tonight will be clear with a low of 61. Tomorrow brings hazy sunshine with reduced air quality due to wildfire smoke and a high of 79. Sunday will be mostly sunny and nice with a high of 82. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and joining me in studio, our friend James Perry, founder of CIO Perry International Capital Partners. We have a lot to talk about, Jim. And let me just start with this July jobs number. And again, it's sort of a constant lament. Like, why do we even talk about the monthly jobs numbers? I feel like I'm participating in some charade. So 73,000 jobs in July. But that included a revision by Department of Labor of June's numbers down from 147 to 14, and a revision of May's job gains down from 144 to 19. The precision with which the Department of Labor operates and provides this useful data for us. I mean, should we just completely never talk about this again?
Short answer is...
Wait, bring that mic closer.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
How's that? Better?
Yeah.
Okay. Short answer is it's an important number because it's the first number of the month, right? And
but it's a number that doesn't mean anything.
It's a number that doesn't mean anything, and it's a number that is calculated by survey, which nobody answers. And
Perfect.
We have an official labor force in the country of about 160 million people. Estimates say it's more like 180 or 190 million people, which aren't counted, right? So you're kind of off before you start by 30 million people, right? Secondly, the immigration issue is very complicated. I heard yesterday that 1 million illegal immigrants voluntarily left the country in the last month or two. So, and they don't even know how many are here and if it means anything because nobody knows how many it is.
Nobody knows that number either.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So unofficially, there's probably 180 million people. That's a labor force that, quite honestly, has never been larger. And I think it really has been underestimated by the mainstream sort of thinking in the marketplace and narrative. And I really do believe that because GDP did bounce up from that low number in Q1, even GDP is hard to calculate. I mean, we don't know if it was flat in Q1 or up by 4% because the export-import numbers, they don't know exactly what the numbers are, really. So I do know that the disruption that this administration has imposed upon the economy is unsettling to people, and it makes them think negatively first, and then cooler minds prevail. And the jobs number is the same thing. All of a sudden, the odds of a rate cut went flying, higher today because there's two dissenters, and all of a sudden the unemployment rate went to 4.2%. Well, again, the economy is running at full employment, and we still have a shortage of something like 5 to 7 million jobs out there. So to me, if you look past the short-term noise, this economy is going to continue to grow, and the labor force is going to continue to grow, and more people are going to enter the workforce. I didn't actually see the participation rate this morning because I've kind of been moving around today, but there's probably space in the workforce that will allow for 10% more people working in the labor force that are now. It's about 62% or something like that.
Yeah, right. I mean,
they can go to 70.
Well, yeah, this is another sort of
get to work
static number, which is there's 6 to 8 million able-bodied people that could be in the workforce that aren't.
Yeah, you can't measure this stuff. If you can't measure it, you can't analyze it.
Does it give us? I mean, is it even is there any utility even directionally that tells us anything, and maybe in combination with other data points that tells us anything about where things are going and what we should be optimistic about and what we should be leery of?
Right. That's a good question. I've come on this show for a few years now, and I come on and I appreciate that very much because it's interesting. But, if you look at things from a sort of a global macro perspective, you have to understand that all of these big economies, China, Japan, Europe, Canada here, it's really about the fiscal stimulus and the monetary stimulus that's coming into the economies from these big governments, right? So the GDP in this country is about $30 trillion. Money supply is about $30 trillion if you add it all up, right? We've never had that much stimulus in the U.S. economy ever before. So it's very difficult to have a financial crisis or a liquidity crisis or a slowdown when there's this much money out there. And it's not just the United States anymore, right? So global GDP is something like $100 trillion. And global money supply is like 108. And the liquidity in the financial system and in the corporate world for investment has never been higher. So you've got a full labor market, you've got a strong housing market, and you've got an unbelievably liquid and dynamic financial system that's being supported by governments all around the world. So that promotes growth.
Well, okay, but I mean that also suggests that the laws of economics, like the basic laws of economics, need to be slightly adjusted because what you're saying, it would seem, is that this sort of government-centric, neo-mercantilist approach to managing an economy, has limited downside. We have 3% GDP growth. We're at a relatively low inflation environment now. I mean, I know there was a print yesterday that showed a bit of a tick up, but I mean, it wasn't substantial. That the trend is pretty good. So we should just stay the course.
Well, I think so. I mean, this administration really has operated on a system of disruption. It's disruption by design. And it's really focused on stabilizing the global trading system, which has been skewed in favor of the Chinese for several decades. And I think that, if you look at monetary policy and fiscal policy, you have to also look at trade policy. And then you also have to look at really the five foundations of what this administration is doing, right? It's lower taxes, deregulation, cut the budget deficit, trade deficit, and national security. And all of that stuff's tied together. Trump is using the tariff, what do they call that? Bludgeoning.
Cudgel.
Cudgel,
yeah.
Right. He's doing that to really get our allies, Europeans, Canadians, Asian countries as well, to increase their tariffs against China. This is all about China. Nobody's trying to hurt the Swiss by bringing up 39% tariff rates against Rolex watches and chocolate, right? It's really about why does Novartis and Roche get patents that are developed in this country and then manufacture them over in Switzerland and charge 3 times more for the people here than over there. So this whole healthcare thing is all involved in it too, right? So I think all of this stuff is going to get negotiated down as long as other countries, the Western democracies, increase their tariffs against China.
But I mean, we also have to admit that these rate-setting exercises are totally arbitrary. I mean, tariff rates 10% for Brazil, 15% for Afghanistan, 39% for Switzerland, you mentioned, 20% for Taiwan. I mean, why is it 20 and not 19?
Right.
Why is that 20? I mean, there's no precision here. There's no modeling or math being done. This is arbitrary, and which is why it moves around all the time, because it's like, if you do something wrong, I'm going to punish you by 5 points. If you do something good, I'm going to reward you by 5 points.
Right. This is really about getting people to the negotiating table so you get to a world where there is fairer trade, right?
Yeah, right.
Negotiations. So the average tariff that the U.S. has charged over the last 10 to 20 years is about 2%. The global average is about 6.5%. So Trump's starting at 30 and 20 and 50 and 15. Over time, in the next 6 months or so, you will see global trade tariffs pretty much be balanced around the world. And to get there, every country has to do it in a different way, right? So there's steel and copper that's being refined in China, mined in Chile, coming through Canada, and going to Detroit, right? It takes a long time to get that stuff organized, right? And pharmaceutical stuff, too. So I think that over time, you will see the tariff situation balance. And the bond market sees that, Dan. That's the thing. I'm not really a political guy, and I really don't understand how political decision-making gets made, because there's a lot of moving parts and national security is involved. But the point is, I really do believe that you will see an adjustment to trade, and the bond market sees it, and the inflation analysts see it. I think the biggest issue your listeners and the average investor and many portfolio managers have to recognize that the narrative behind this tariff issue has been stagflation and inflation, right? Lower growth, higher inflation, because the poor consumer is going to get smacked by, 30% more expensive costs for blue jeans and stuff like that, tennis shoes. But I think that you have to recognize that is a legitimate argument on one side of the coin. But if you're not looking at the whole picture, you're going to come up with the wrong conclusion. And the fact is that export nations, surplus trading nations to this country, need this economy as a market. And if tariffs go up because they've got a favorable structure behind what they're doing, or financed or subsidized by the government or whatever, those subsidies are going to continue to rise, because if prices go up, governments like the Communist Party in China will have to keep 400 million people working. They can't afford for them not to work.
No, I mean, I get the leverage play against the Chinese communists. I totally get it. But I mean, one of the things, it's just the conflation is, I guess, some of the conflation is troublesome to me. It's like the idea that that we're taxing our way to prosperity, because it's a tariff, a tax. So that the tariffs, we're filling the coffers, and we're punishing our enemies, and we're protecting our industries, and it's all upside. It's not all upside. I mean, and part of it is it's because the things you don't see. It's like saying the minimum wage, a $20 minimum wage, or any minimum wage, is a good policy. Well, look, we raised it to $20, and yeah, I mean, maybe 18,000 fast food workers in California lost their jobs, but nobody really pays attention to that. And small businesses that rely on entry-level workers. Correct. So that the entry-level workers that aren't getting those entry-level jobs, the small business owner who operates in, relative anonymity, who has to make adjustments in terms of how he operates his business, but it doesn't generate enough attention for people to actually really have an understanding of the impact. It's just not big enough. So we can overcome it. The small business owner can, somebody can get another job, so on and so forth. But it doesn't mean that it's a positive policy. And that's what I would say about tariffs, generally speaking, too. We can overcome it because of all these other variables that you're talking about. But the idea that it is, that the way that Trump uses it, that I'm critical of, is, it's a hammer that can knock down every nail, and that's it's just not true.
Right. I agree with you, and I think that there's a lot of misdirected sort of initiatives that kind of go out and shock people. But I would say this, that, why did this administration get voted into power? And what are the biggest issues that are facing this country? And we talked about this a month or so ago with the small businesses, right? So the biggest problem is that, inflation has been extremely high, and the percentages of increases in prices since 2019 are running at 25% or 40% or something like that. And who does that hurt the most, right? Small businesses and households.
Yeah.
So what do they vote for? They want inflation lower. They want prices lower. So how do you do that? What causes inflation? Deficit spending. So the budget deficit, right? It's $2 trillion. You bring that down by what is expected this year to be down by $350 billion. Inflation expectations are falling. Import prices at the wholesale level are falling. And what's the other thing? National debt, still rising, $37 trillion, right? If you reduce or eliminate your deficit spending and your deficit trades balances, those numbers go right to GDP. The trade deficit, if it goes down by $350 billion this year, which I think it will, that goes directly to U.S. GDP, right? So it's not just a negative to say, let's just disrupt everything. It means, what are the two big issues in this country? It's national debt, which is an enormous figure. I mean, nothing's ever been higher, right? We've got to stop it from going up. The budget deficit. In 2019, the government brought in $3.5 trillion in tax receipts and spent $4 trillion. That's a budget deficit of $500 billion. Last reading, it was $2 trillion, right? Brought in 5, spent 7. If you bring that budget deficit down to COVID levels, right? Just 500, bring it down by $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion in 3 years, which can be done. Interest rates will go to 3.5%, 10-year Treasury yields, right? And what's that do for mortgages? What's that do for corporate profitability? What's that do for direct investment? All of this stuff is tied together. I think I was over in Europe talking, and I said, taxes are a big issue, deregulation are a big issue, budget deficit's a big issue, trade deficit's a big issue, and national security. All of them are important. And frankly, I think the deregulation thing probably means more to the economy going forward than the tariff issue. But the tariff issue is getting 90% of all the narrative because people,
Well, and also because the Europeans.
And I was in Europe, yeah.
Well, and they also don't want to confront their own tax and deregulation.
Correct.
Issue, or
Correct.
Tax and regulation issues, too.
Exactly.
Let's just talk about America. Well, I want to talk about what you guys do.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think your economies have been so sclerotic? But the net of this, I read and listened to your video this morning, sort of, your summation of where things are at. But I mean, you think the rest of this year is going to be gangbusters?
I do. I mean, this deregulation thing is really important. Like, part of the deal with the EU is that they're going to invest something like $600 billion into this country, right? So they've never done that before. Not to that.
I mean, allegedly.
Well,
it's not international law. It's a promise.
If they want the tariffs to come down and not go up, the issue is bring in $750 billion worth of energy and spend $600 billion here. So Volkswagen, right? German sort of mainstream sort of automobile. Forget about the luxury market for a second because that's different. But, Volkswagen builds a factory in Michigan and it's robotic and they start making cars in 18 months, which they can do. They get to write off that entire investment, depreciate it, the first year. Mm-hmm. I mean, that offsets their cost immediately. Think about that in terms of GDP. Mm-hmm. Think about that in your own household. That's money back in your pocket. So the amount of money that's coming into the country on a direct investment basis is really enormous. Now, does that mean that manufacturing is going to go from 10% of the employment rate to 30%? Of course not. We have to keep our manufacturing costs low to attract people who are going to do industrial manufacturing in this country. That's going to be robotics. This thing all ties into the Industrial Revolution, right? I mean, this is why Tesla's at $318 a share, $15 a share, not $100. It's not about people not liking Teslas, right? Europeans are selling Teslas, right? They just don't want to be. Yeah, I see bumper stickers on them. I bought this car before Trump, this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But, it's really about what is happening in the Industrial Revolution in this country with AI. And it's a big deal, right? I mean, last year, corporate America spent $1.7 trillion on AI development. That's everything, sort of energy and cooling and powering it and chips and all that sort of stuff. That number, that's 5% of GDP, right? Last year. That number is expected to be 20 to 25% of GDP by 2029.
Yeah, it's going fast.
All right, so that's 25. You're talking about $8 trillion worth of investment that's going to be depreciated. So that's, if you think about just the data on the math about the economy, it's hard to imagine that you can't see a 3% or a 4% growth here, especially when you've got a shortage of labor and you can address that issue. And you've got cheap capital, and you've got a regulatory base, and confidence is rising not only at the corporate level, small businesses and households as well. So I just look at the data. I'm not looking at, why things are chaotic and why statistics are not as precise as they should be, and all the short-term, decision-making or investment decision-making. Cheap money, favorable tax rates, ample energy, strong and growing, and as large a labor force as you've ever had, and the personal wealth in this country. People forget that too, right? GDP again is $30 trillion. Private wealth in this country is $170 trillion, right? They're spending, right? That top 10% of the country. I mean, I just flew up here. Every airport is packed. Every plane is packed. Every plane is delayed, right? I mean, honestly,
that's another story. But yeah, your point.
My commute from Miami to Chicago is 11 hours. It's. I'm not kidding you. Back and forth. So the point is that there's a tremendous amount of spending happening in the consumer economy, and it's never been higher, and it's rising.
I wanted to get, before we let you go, I wanted to get, we were talking off air, and I just wanted you to develop this for the listeners, that you said to me that the stable coin, that it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
I mean, since so many of us, myself included, are wrestling with crypto, why is stablecoin a big deal?
Stablecoin is different, Dan, because unlike a Bitcoin, which has no intrinsic value, not that the dollar has an intrinsic value either, but there's the ability for the government to tax there's a net present value of that. But Bitcoin doesn't have that, right? But stablecoins, what makes them different is that they are backed 100% by U.S. Treasury bills, right? So, number one, it creates a demand for Treasury bills. The market capitalization of the Bitcoin or the stablecoin market right now is $4 trillion, right? And the market value of the companies that are in the stablecoin market are $260 billion, and that's expected to be up to $2 trillion by the end of next year, right? So the stablecoin business is market valued at $4 trillion, which is the size of NVIDIA, by the way, right? And Microsoft, right? Those are the two $4 trillion companies. The reason it's important is because it allows financial transactions to be encrypted on a database and a ledger that gives transparencies to all prices, and you don't need central clearing for any trade. So I know banks in Europe who have been clearing Eurobond trades for a decade through blockchain, right? And they don't need Deutsche Bank. They don't need Barclays. They don't need Credit Agricole. You don't need JP Morgan. That means you don't need a central bank, right? Everything is clear. Everything is transparent. You know exactly what every price is, and there's no fraud to it. So this brings a level of legitimacy to the crypto market that it hasn't had before. So to me, this is another disruption that we're seeing. There's disruption in healthcare and finance and all kinds of things, right? Travel and trade. This one has the opportunity to reduce costs in financial transactions, not only from the big bank level and the central bank level, but to every single business. So if you've got a stable coin, which is backed by a U.S. Treasury, you've got a legitimacy to the crypto market that it has not had since it's begun. So it's a game changer.
James Perry, founder, CIO, Perry International Capital Partners. Jim, thank you as always. Great stuff.
Thank you very much, Dan. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe, and if you want to do business with a company that actually stands for something, switch to Pure Talk. I did. Sure, I appreciate being on America's most dependable 5G network with unlimited talk and text for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is Pure Talk's commitment to our military and to our skilled workforce. That matters to me. Save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term.
Okay, this basement is unreal. You've got a bar, theater seats. What is this place?
This is my escape. Forever Remodeling custom designed the whole thing. Not 1 square foot is wasted.
Man, mine still has a treadmill and a folding table.
Their designers asked a ton of questions. I wanted the ultimate game day setup. They delivered. Bar, big screen, sound that shakes the walls.
Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
AM 560, The Answer.
Open mic! Open mic Friday! Call it now! Open mic Friday!
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Yes, that time of the week, Open Mic Friday, where we take your calls at 312-642-5600. With your comments, your compliments, your concerns, your criticisms, and your general crack pottery, we take it all. 312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line. But we begin, as we do, with Turnkey.pro founder David Kolsak. David?
Hi, good morning, Dan. What I really wanted to talk about this morning is the shooter in Manhattan. First off, I have a hard time believing that story top to bottom. The working narrative from New York City officials outlines a lone gunman, Shane Tamura, who traveled across country, entered a high-profile office building armed with an assault rifle, and killed 4 individuals, including a police officer, in the lobby and then on the 33rd floor before killing himself. His suicide note blamed the NFL and football-related brain injuries, though many details of his motives, mental health, and logistics remain under investigation. If you've ever been in any downtown area of any big city, there's no way you could openly brandish an M4 rifle, which is at least 30 inches long and 8 inches high, not to mention the fact that it would be difficult to shoot yourself in the chest with something that big. Then if you get through the heart of New York City without being noticed carrying this assault rifle, and you enter the lobby of an upscale building on Park Avenue, which has to be secure in some way, it has to have security measures to block access and shut down elevators. I mean, I've seen Die Hard, and I could believe that he could have pulled this off in the middle of the night when no one's around. But Manhattan at 6:30 at night is certainly not desolate, especially in that part of town. I've been visiting in Chicago in downtown buildings for my own clients, and I have to have a guest pass. Someone has to escort me, and there are access control systems that require key fobs just to get to your floor. Even if you know where you're going, it's not that easy to gain entry. I don't buy it. And then one would have to question how so much is known about this guy already, where he was from, the roads he traveled along the way, where he stopped. They have a bloody picture of the weapon, his ID, the suicide note. It's perfect. We've got our man. It's just like 9/11. They knew immediately the identities of the hijackers and had at least some of their passports. The information came fast and furious with witnesses that they showed right after corroborating the evidence there. It fits a pattern, and it's well known by now how they operate. It's predictable. They still don't know anything about Thomas Crooks, but they know everything about Shane Tamura, and this quickly. And then there's this long suicide note and CTE motive against the NFL. That fact alone, that Tamura went to the 33rd floor instead of the NFL's floor with our 5 through 8, suggested it had nothing to do with the NFL at all. Why is it that all these shooters are mentally ill and they have all these histories, yet no one ever sees an interview with their mental health caregivers, their psychiatrists? Maybe HIPAA compliance goes beyond death. What is not widely reported, though, is that among those killed by the shooter was a Blackstone executive, Wesley LePatner. The coverage has not been divulging for the most part that she was a very impressive person. She was the global head of Core Plus Real Estate and the CEO of Breed, where she managed a $53 billion real estate fund. What if she was the target? You know, we have 2 cover stories here if that were the case. Number one, targeting multiple victims, including LePatner, would create the illusion of a random mass shooting, diverting attention from her specific importance by killing others. The operation masks the assassination as a chaotic act reducing scrutiny on LePatner's role at Blackstone. Or number two, the shooter's note blaming the NFL for his perceived CTE, despite his lack of football history, to me is 100% a planted red herring. Targeting multiple people in a building shared by the NFL and Blackstone reinforces the narrative of a deranged individual fixated on the NFL, not targeted hit on LePatner. If you do a little research on Blackstone, you'll find that one of their major functions is real estate acquisition and management. Blackstone is one of the biggest landlords on the planet. They invest in and manage office buildings, warehouses, apartments, and hotels. So in San Diego, California, there's a crackdown of corporations buying up local property, specifically Blackstone. So naturally, there was a study that they did and found that one equity firm increased prices at nearly the double the market rate. Blackstone moved into heavy acquisition mode in 2021. Not only in San Diego, but all over the country during the pandemic. They went on a very aggressive buying spree, buying up over 200,000 housing units across the country. Since then, rents have increased 38% on average each year at Blackstone-held properties. Now spread that over the more than 370,000 total housing units that Blackstone controls in the United States. So maybe there was a target that is not what they're telling us, and that this is just all a cover story. Or maybe it's all true, and the guy just hit 33 instead of 5 like when he got on the elevator. But to me, it's just not cut and dry like they want you to believe, and that's just my 2 cents.
All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. By the way, there has been coverage. I mean, he's right. There hasn't been a lot of coverage of that Blackstone. The woman who worked at Blackstone was murdered. She's mother of 2, I think. But there has been definitely some activity on social media about her from the same sort of people that cheered the assassination of that United Healthcare CEO. Your typical leftists, your neo-Marxists that think every corporate executive should be targeted in particular sectors, should be targeted for elimination, or just believe in political violence to policy ends, economic or cultural. So there's been some very disturbing celebratory remarks about that woman's murder, and it was eerily similar to the United Healthcare reaction within certain quarters of the party that platforms Antifa. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Sticking on the topic, Corey Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. What I did want to say about the gentleman just made a statement about these secure buildings. Just follow the smokers. You can get into these buildings, no problem. But kind of off topic, we're going to need that site that you had back online, defending homeowners. We're taking a beating. Our taxes are going up every single year.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're cutting out a little bit, Corey. You need that site back up. That what?
You had a site called Defending Homeowners.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna need that site back. I mean, we're taking a beating on our property taxes, man. A massive beating. It doesn't make any sense. We've got people actually following our property taxes now for mental health. This is a new scam in Chicago. I've got a few buildings, so it's on a couple of my buildings. It's not on every building. But they seem to be following our property taxes now with mental health. And they said it wouldn't go over $30. It's already over $100. This thing is getting out of control.
Thanks for the call, Corey. All right. Appreciate it. Yeah. Big city living. Bill in Waukegan.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. Good morning. Hey, I just wanted to chime in on the discipline factors at school. Back in my day, which is back a long time ago, we had the paddle, the nuns had the ruler, and my mom and dad would come to school and spank me in front of the principal and my friends just to let them know that they were not going to accept little Billy doing whatever he felt he needed to just to fit into the crowd. So it's like, yeah. And I have teacher friends that are assaulted, have been assaulted, and have had just the worst of times. And I don't know why we let that go by like that, but I'm just wanted to tell you, I wish if my mom and dad were still around, they heard about that, they'd go to the school and discipline that child. So have a great weekend. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Yeah, actually, I had the same conversation with the buddy I was playing golf with at Olympia yesterday. He said the same thing. He said, my dad, when he said, you're going to this school, and it was Catholic school. He said, so just so you understand, this is Dad talking to son, my friend. Just so you understand, you get in any trouble in school, I'm going to assume that the priests and the nuns are right, and whatever they do, I'm going to support 100%, and then you're going to get a 2x when you get home. So just so you understand how this world is going to work. So don't come crying to me with whatever discipline they mete out, because I am in their corner. So that's where you get in loco parentis. I mean, within reason, of course. I'm not supporting abuse or anything crazy, but within reason, where you have school and parents on the same side, and the kids know what the parameters are and what the consequences are if you exist outside those parameters. Dawn, Naperville.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So in March of 2018, the United States Government Accountability Office reported to Congress that they did a report about K through 12 education discipline disparities for Black students, boys, and students with disabilities. And what that report showed was that although the African American community represented 15.5% of the public school population, 40% of the time they were being suspended, and there was disciplinary action involved. Now, that same year, in December of 2018, there was a bill that was proposed by Republicans and passed by President Trump called the First Step Act. Yeah. And one of the things that act did was it mandated dyslexia screening in federal penitentiaries. Why? Because it is found, and it's a fact, that the large population has dyslexia. And just so everyone understands, under the IDEA, the law, the federal law that protects people with disabilities, and one of those is dyslexia, the definition is that the individual presents itself, they're struggling with reading, they're struggling how to write. That's it. So here's what I propose. We have a public education system that kicks the can down the road, and it does not help students in a proactive solution. If we can screen these kids for dyslexia starting in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, I guarantee you, if we can give them the skills to be successful at the desk, you wouldn't see these problems. You wouldn't see these if you cannot. The mentality is, well, these kids can if they want to. No, these kids can if they have the skills to do so. And dyslexia is invisible. You can't see it, and that's why it just gets kicked down the road. And I'm telling you, that's the problem.
Well,
if we doubt.
Well, let me ask you a question, Dawn. I mean, I take your point. That's fair, and it sounds like a good idea what you propose in terms of the screening, But what is the incidence of dyslexia, on a percentage basis of the student body?
Well, it's pretty difficult when they're not being screened for it.
I understand, but do you know what, the reported incidence is?
Okay, so most children who qualify for an IEP is under SLD, the specific learning disability. That is the number one way that children qualify. But the only way that children qualify is if the school system is doing their obligation of child find. Are they evaluating every single student that is struggling to read? They're not doing that.
Mm-hmm. I take your point. I'm just saying,
okay.
That to me sounds like one variable, but I don't think it's exhaustive of the other variable of the other issues.
Well, hold on. Yeah. It takes the parents to advocate on the front end. So that it takes the parents to advocate on behalf of their child to do what is right for them. It starts with the family. It starts with the parents. I totally agree with that.
I agree. Thanks for the call, Dawn. Appreciate it. Chicago's Morning Answer poet laureate, not poet laureate, Joe from Arlington Heights.
Hey, good morning. What a week. There was so much that I thought about writing about. But then I saw that woman's face who was beaten in Cincinnati, and it just inspired a poem about the social and cultural and political issues. It's called victimhood. Perhaps it's a ghetto thing that some folks call wilding. Others call it the knockout game. The violence of bigots just the same. Outside a ball game or a concert, it's fun for thugs to dish out hurt. Failure to recognize bad from good, the insidious product of false victimhood. 100 besties all were there, unwilling the beating to interfere, laughing, watching with no sympathy, then posting videos for all to see. Nope, you say it's never your fault, even all the times when you get caught. Sucker punches give you street cred, a special tattoo if your prey falls dead. Your rap sheet may be growing with another victim's blood left flowing, but the judge gives you yet another chance. Must avoid the prison pipeline dance. Hell, it's just another day in a city blue. Get too tough and riots will ensue. So the chief blames the media instead, another ineffective police department head. Leaders screech filled with woke empathy. Shut up, conservatives. There's nothing here to see. Clearly a beating is what they deserved. Pretend this racism never occurred. Generations of government dependency, the dreadful results growing easier to see. Fathers in faith ever harder to find. Perhaps this is what liberals really had in mind. And that's Victimhood by Joe from Arlington Heights.
There it is. Very good, Joe. Thank you for that contribution. Elevating the discussion here, always. For something perhaps less artistic, Eduardo in Tampa Bay.
Hey, Dan, good morning. So this weekend I'll be at Comic-Con, and Lou Ferrigno is going to be in town.
Oh, the Hulk.
I only weigh 160 pounds, so I think he can take me. He can lift me up.
Is that what you're going to have him do? Lift you up?
Yeah, let's see if I can get a Kodak moment on the news. We'll see.
Tell him I loved his guest appearances on King of Queens. He's pretty good.
King of Queens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for the call.
I got him to go by City Hall. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for the call. Enjoy Comic-Con. Should I or should I not? It's always a difficult decision. The PM in Ogden Dunes, Indiana.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling. Boy, that Poet Lariat is a much more uplifting than Lou Ferrigno. I love that Joel from Arlington Heights, like the blind prostitute, you have to hand it to him.
Oh, boy. Okay.
So
that's one.
When he heard that In-N-Out Burger was leaving California, presidential hopeful J.B. Lizzo offered the great idea to use the state's economic development incentives to lure In-N-Out Burger into his stomach. J.B. ordered a double cheese and told him to step on it. I was mortified, so I left $1 in the kitty. But they said, oh, no, we just give her tuna and milk. Now,
that's two.
With the passing of Hulk Hogan, I proposed to the governor that he become a wrestler like Mr. Hulk Hogan, who always enjoyed bipartisan support. Think Jesse Ventura, the Body Ventura governor. But JB said that WWF racket, it's very hard to crack it. But I said to the great man, you have the thick presidential hair and a forehead like King Kong Bundy, teamed with California's governor haircut and JB's brother, the world's first and only transgender billionaire. JB, you could easily have the most headline-grabbing tag team threesome, and you would fight against Trump and JD Advance. It would not be the stumble like the Rumble in the Jumble. It'd be better than the brawl to end it all. It would be politics as usual.
Thank you, PM. I think. Deborah, Arlington Heights.
Hi, Dan. So let me tell you what a day in Catholic school was like growing up in Chicago. We had to go to church before school. It was boys on one side of the room, girls on the other, no talking. We had catechism. We had penmanship. Work had to be done just so. At the end of the day, the bell would ring, and we would have to march out to John Philip Sousa music till we got to the corner of where we were, the school was located. No talking, or they would pull you out of line. We had discipline like spanking, and we were afraid if we had to go to the principal's office, that was going to be the end. And I don't think that a little fear is a bad thing, and these kids don't have it nowadays, and I think the kids are doomed if something doesn't change.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. Jordan, Antioch.
Good morning. 3 quick things. My cousin was a teacher in Wisconsin, and rather than deal with the recurrence of the kids that would constantly mess up the class and everything, she would just take them down to the office, and then she would call their parents and be like, you need to come and get your child. He's disrupting your class. And their response was usually, well, I'm at work. I'm in the middle of a meeting. And she would just say, well, so am I. And you need to come and get your child. And then that was it. After a couple times of that where mom and dad had to drive from work to get their kid and sit home with their own kid all day, it kind of worked itself out. The other thing is, going back to Parkland and the school shootings, I'd invite everybody to maybe do a little research into when school shootings and that kind of stuff started, because it coincides with when the Clinton administration tied gun-free zones to schools' funding and basically blackmailed them into taking on, or they were going to cut their funding if they didn't create soft targets. And then the third, I can't remember what the third thing is because that thing got me so wound up. But school violence and everything. The other thing was referring to that kid. You were talking about middle school and the guy had said, the person that said that they were never referred to that. We have to remember, right? This guy was visited by, was it the FBI or the state police 34 plus times?
Yeah.
For these things. So, I'd like to hear from somebody who's maybe within school administration that can speak more clearly to it. But if I'm not mistaken, at least in Illinois, if you call the police, if you're constantly calling the police and involving police into a child, that goes against their funding in some way. That goes against their strikes against their school where they're rated, and it directly affects their funding. So they just don't call. But if maybe somebody could speak more clearly on that. But everything is about funding. Everything is about money. And it's pretty sad that safety has to be, squashed over funding.
Thanks.
So have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Mike in Hammond.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. Couple of things here. Bud Abbott had Lou Costello. Dean Martin had Jerry Lewis. Batman had Robin. You had Amy. You need a new flunky, Dan. I mean, I love the show, but you need a little bit of an offset. You're too intelligent for all of us. We need to add that little bit of the other side of it. Maybe do a guest listener once a week or once every couple of weeks or something. But
yeah,
you need help. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, I need help in so many ways. And maybe I'll develop a multiple personality disorder, so they'll seem like there's a sidekick. I'll think about that. Rick in Downers Grove.
Hey, good morning. Great show, Dan.
Thank you.
I like the fact that Tulsi Gabbard's bringing out all the information on the Russia collusion and the dirtbags who perpetrated that. I mean, she's basically backing up what we all knew. But the bottom line is, in your opinion, are any of these people going to spend one day in jail after this is all done, or is it just going to be a lot of just news stories on it?
I'm withholding judgment. Thanks for the call, and I'm also resisting fatalism. I think there is I think there's a lot of incentive for Bondi to go big game hunting. I think prosecutors are wired that way. I mean, you see that U.S. attorneys here, prosecutions. I mean, yeah, they'll take the easy ones, but, they want the headlines. I mean, that's how you make careers. That's how you go down in history. Don't think they're not thinking about that, particularly at the upper reaches of the federal government. I'm talking about across the board. It's not unique to Pam Bondi. And most importantly, I think there's as I've been saying, a strong circumstantial case to be made for perjury against Brennan and Comey in particular, and maybe not just limited to them. And that's just based on what we know. And I presume Pam Bondi and her team knows a lot more than we know. So, yeah, I actually think it is more likely than not that you're going to see some indictments. And I don't mean of the Kevin Kleinsmith level. I mean at the principal level. People that were engaged in this conspiracy to defraud. And maybe it won't rise to the criminal standard, but it certainly has already exceeded the political standard. I think you are going to see indictments. But we'll see. John in Lake Forest.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. I have a pretty straightforward question about AM radios in cars.
Yes.
Do you support or oppose the legislation now pending in Congress that would, if it becomes law, require that all new cars and trucks sold in the United States come equipped with AM radios?
That is the industry position. Thanks for the call, John. You've no doubt heard the PSAs, if you will, on our airwaves, asking you to call your congresshuman and tell them to support that mandate. So that is the industry position. That is my answer. I'm sure you'll find it unsatisfying. Gary in Homer Glen.
Hey, Dan, maybe take this weekend and work up a little Jim Shorts-esque sidekick for yourself.
Yes. Thanks for the call, Gary. Yeah, I'll have to really. I'll do. He's great Hall of Fame radio talker. Phil Hendry, who did the fake calls. It's all his voices, and yeah, maybe I'll have to come. Maybe I can do my own open mic Friday, and it'll just be me and 30 different voices that I come up with, and little vignettes with each of them. I don't know. This is a lot of homework you guys are giving me. Lucy in Lowell, Indiana.
Yes. I would like to ask people to support the bill which is being put in by Paul Grasser, Republican of Arizona. It's H.R. 4668, and it would end the legal immunity, the liability shield that they have for vaccines.
Okay.
Many of our children have been brain damaged, and this also is part of what leads to the violence in school. When you have a child who is brain damaged, they have more tendency to become violent and disruptive and such in school.
Thanks for the call, Lucy. Appreciate it. Chuck in Delavan to close it out. Quickly, Chuck.
Hey, thanks to the Colsack guy for mentioning my garage band Planet Red Herring. Tomorrow night, downtown Delavan, Phoenix Band Shells. Can a rip-off band? I'll be at Her's Hideaway at 7. And then if you like duo with the Abbey at 8:30, have a great weekend.
Thank you, Chuck. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's 9 o'clock, AM 560, WIND Chicago.
The job market has cooled off big time.